All right. Gonna wait for people to show up. All right. Southpaw, how's it going? Too cool party goal. Good to see you again. How are you doing? Butterfly transformation. Good morning. How are you? How's everybody doing today? Hey. Good morning. Oh, it's morning here. It might not be morning there. Excuse me. Hey. How's stuff been? I'm good. I'm waking up, I think. But I'm good, though. I'm good. They're like, you're good. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. Am I under the weather? No, I think it's just because I woke up a little bit late today. I think that's all this is. Though, I don't know. Excuse me. I did have COVID earlier this month. And then I just got a massage, like right at the beginning of the month. And I just got a massage. So sometimes that can like move stuff through your system. So maybe that's what this is. But awesome. So not too under the weather. I'm actually doing pretty well. Oh, they changed everything again. Okay. So Southpaw would love a reading. Let's see what comes through for you. Okay, 1 second. Oh, we're just starting. Okay. First card coming out for you, Southpaw, is Strength. So, hey, no regrets. 222, how's it going? So, Southpaw, give me 1 second to get in the zone here. So the message for you. Okay, first thing they're pointing my eyes to are the rabbit's feet on the Strength card here. Or it looks like rabbit's feet. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. But anyways, intuitively, that's what I'm being pointed to first and foremost. And so the message for you regarding that, you are going to have good luck. I'm getting the words turnaround and luck as well. And this is positive, which is good. One thing they want to suggest for you, if you don't already do it, is try to tune into your divine guidance more. Even if it's just like, if you don't already do this, even if it's just like a 5-minute ritual and you're just like getting in the energy or asking for guidance, because that can show up in your daily life, even if you, because can you channel? I get you can channel. Maybe it's something you'd have to work at, but the other, oh my gosh. Excuse me. The other thing I'm getting is like, even just like setting that intention and showing up for like 5 minutes, it's more like getting into that energy, and even just asking to be divinely guided, like that does show up directly, but depending on where you're at, it can also show up around you in your life as well, like through signs and synchronicities or things people say. And I'm not trying to limit anyone who already does channel or is already intuitive. Of course, you're going to get the direct information as well, or just as much as ever, if not more. But that's something they want to talk about, is like growing your divine guidance and asking for that, even if you don't feel like you get the direct, you personally get the direct messages yet. So they're also talking about getting rooted. Like they're putting my eyes to the roots, of course, in this card with the plant. I want to see what the message about that is. And hopefully this doesn't sound cheesy, but the words I'm getting are rooted in faith, interestingly enough. Because I get for you, like, everything is going to turn out well. And of course, like, you know, with life, sometimes there's bumps and bruises. And I'm not saying that's just going to disappear or not be there if it's going to be there. But now is also a really good time to get rooted in what's true for you and not be swayed too much by public opinion or the people around you, something they're talking about as well. So any other messages for you with this card? I also get the words you have the strength you need, which I think is good. So I would keep that in mind going forward. The other thing that they're pointing my eyes to is like there's this tiny little like star at the top of this card. Yeah, you're welcome. There's this tiny little star at the top of this card. I want to see what they have to say about that for you here. And what I'm getting is this is about healing. It kind of, that's what they're saying. So anything else about that and healing? I guess what I'm getting is like it's a good time for that, because they're giving me a lot of different visuals. Like they're giving me a visual of like you in a bath, like in the water, like healing, like a salt bath, or either a bath with like healing intentions in the water or something like that. But what healing what, or how would be the best way to go about healing? What is this about? Really what I'm getting is it's more about like receiving healing at this time. I wouldn't do anything crazy, but I would open up to like one of the pieces of advice I've heard that I think is really good. I think this applies, and I'll see how they explain it further as I start talking more, is opening, like, to when it comes to healing, like some people think like when they're like, oh, I need to start healing, they like dig, and sometimes maybe people need to do this, they start like digging really deep and digging up all this stuff and like voraciously going through their past and like crying things out, or trying to, and like I think one of the pieces of advice I heard was just like being open to healing and let it come and find you when it's the right time to go through those things, whether it's triggered by an outward event or anything like that, because the universe will bring you the experiences and energies and healers or teachers or whatever you need to heal in the right ways for you when you're just open to healing. I feel like that's kind of what's going on right now. So and like one thing I would do is just be open to the healing, and like if something presents itself for you, like I would take that opportunity, whether it's like, I don't know, a free healing session from a friend who's getting into Reiki or something like that. But there is a lot of hope for you. And it's funny because like another card I just pulled was the Pillar, which also is a card that I'll get a message of strength about. And for you as well, what I'm getting is a message of, and I think this meaning from this card, they channeled this through last live, but it's like I get this message of things coming together. And like things uniting in your life, but I feel like this is more in like March, maybe even February, like mid-end February, March, like things start, like an energy of things coming together a bit more, things making more sense, or things clicking together is something they're talking about. I want me to show you one more card and then I'll move on, but the Play card's coming out for you with the dolphins. Again, this one has been pretty frequent to jump out recently. But what's the meaning of the cards for you in this instance? Part of the message, interestingly enough, with the dolphins in this card is like flowing with life is what I'm getting. Like letting the current, my gosh, current take you to where you need to go. Excuse me. And of course I do get the words have fun. Like I'd definitely be open to having fun, to not being too serious. And just kind of like dropping the weight, even if it's for a day. Like if you feel like you've been stressed or you feel like you've had any heaviness, like maybe just set the conscious intention just to like drop everything for a day and just de-stress and like acclimatize to less stress are words that are coming up to me. Oh my God, that they're showing me. My intuitive visuals is kind of what they're talking about. So hopefully that makes sense as well. And also getting out in nature would be really good for you. But anything else that's important for you before I move on here? Anything you need to know in particular? No, I don't really get that there's anything else. I feel like that's kind of the gist of it at this time. Like the another message they're kind of giving me is potentially like going your own way. I don't feel like it's going off of the beaten path super far, but going off the beaten path a little bit, or exploring options in your life that like aren't normal for you in particular, or perhaps even the people around you, and kind of letting that lead you somewhere new. I feel like that's something that might be coming up for you, or there's opportunities like slightly off the beaten path that might come up, if that makes sense. I'm gonna try and change a filter. Oh, I can't change the filter. Maybe it's not a filter, but I hope that helps. Hey, Getting Tipsy Nails, hope that helps you. Southpaw, oh, thank you, Southpaw. Hope that was helpful. Okay. Oh, thank you, Southpaw. Yeah, I hope that helped. Hope that brought some messages your way you needed to hear, or something helpful for you. Thank you for doing this for us. I look forward to Sunday mornings. Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm grateful to hear it. You're welcome. I love doing this. So let's see here. One thing to keep in mind for anyone new tuning in here, Q&A is probably a good place to phrase your questions, because one, it does still show up in chat like any other, comments, but two, it kind of preserves it in the Q&A box, and there's a chance I can get back to it as well. Just to keep in mind. Sometimes I'll switch between the two, depending on what I'm guided to do, whether it's chat or Q&A, and I'll just answer what they want me to answer. So that's kind of how this works. Let's see here. Healing movement asks, will it get easier? Yes. And they are kind of giving me the message of like long ball. There are going to be spurts where it's easier. And overall, it might take some time, but you do get there. And they're giving me a visual. They're giving me the word eclipse, and they're showing me an eclipse. And what is the message for you? Sometimes when we go through a dark period, like, and this, I don't know if this is for you or for someone else, but like they're kind of talking about how like sometimes things like start like they're looking up and they get brighter, and then like it kind of like goes dark again. It's just like a temporary period of like almost like an eclipse. Like the moon comes in front of the sun, and it's an eclipse and it's dark, but it's temporary because then the moon moves away from the sun and then it's bright and shiny again. And that's kind of what they're talking about with if you're going through any difficulty right now, is it is temporary. But gradually things lighten up, and of course there's going to be spurts where things are a lot lighter, are really good days in the midst of all that, of course, like life. But you are going to get to a really good phase coming up is what I'm getting. Let's see what they give a time frame here. What I get for you, and I'm not saying this year won't be good for you, but next year for you is things really lighten up is what I'm getting. So definitely hang in there. I don't feel like it's going to be that bad if you feel like that's really far off and you're like, I can't do another year. It's worth sticking it out is what I'm getting. And you will be in a much better place. So yeah, will it get easier? I do get yes. Hang in there. And take the action steps you feel guided to take, or that life provides for you to walk yourself out of any darkness or heaviness as they come. And even just kind of setting this intention, like asking if it will get easier, like some of the avenues and pathways and things you're imagining that could be are going to start to manifest for you over the year ahead. But I really feel like you're going to be drawn into it being easier next year. That's what I get. Hope that helps. Healing movements, and don't let that limit how good things can be in the meantime, please. Travis Joel, 37, how are you doing? Asks, when will my financial life improve? When will Travis Joel's financial life improve? Similar answer to last time, sort of similar, not the exact same. Let me see what they have to say here. Like, I kind of get this is something that would be, I mean, the words they gave me are this is something you'll have to walk yourself out of. So this might be something where you, not might, sorry, give me 1 second. So when was your first question? When will it improve? I mean, honestly, what I'm getting is over the years ahead, and it might not be all at once. There might be like 2 or 3 key things or moments that happen where your financial situation improves. Like what would be a good example for you? Like maybe you get a promotion, and you're like, that gives you a little bit of breathing room, but then like a new job opportunity shows up, or your side hustle takes off, and then you're like good, if that makes sense. But over the years, like I do get kind of a similar message as last time, like you'll be presented opportunities to walk yourself out of where you're at. So I definitely like take the opportunities that come your way. I wouldn't cling onto anything that you have going on right now is something I'm getting as well. But be open to new opportunities and even like surprise options that might show up, and see like, I would pay attention to the long-term prospects of different jobs and things or whatever shows up as well. But eventually for you, yeah, things do turn around. Honestly, I do get they will. And again, like what I was getting, like over the next couple of years, like it's something you start to walk yourself out of. But can we get like a when you'll feel better about everything with your finances, kind of like point or turning point beginning? I get it starts this year where you start to feel better about it, and then it expands over the next couple of years is what I'm getting. So I hope that helps, Travis. You're not stuck. It might seem like you are, but that's like a temporary stuckness or feeling of stuckness, or like eventually some of the bubbles burst and like you have certain avenues or different trajectories out of your situation, if that makes sense, or to improve it, or things that you add on that helps. Hope that helps. Okay. Okay. No regrets, 222 asks, do I have any gifts I should focus on? So does no regrets have any gifts they should focus on? Yeah. I'm getting channeling for you would be a great thing to work on right now, and like boosting that and working on that, even if it's just practicing every day or journaling or something like that. If you feel like you've been working on your intuition or channeling, another piece of advice I have for you is don't be afraid to practice on other people when you feel confident enough to like, hey, could I try doing a reading for you, my friend? Or if there's someone else who's like around the same phase of their journey with you, or even a little bit above, and they won't, judge you. They'll be cool with like where you're at and what you're doing. Maybe they can coach you a little bit. That would be something that could help boost your intuition and channeling, if that's something you even want to work on. I just jumped right into it. That's kind of what they started talking about right away. So any other gifts you should focus on for you? I'm also getting like your energy sensitivity, like clairsentience, if these are spiritual gifts you want to develop, and like playing with crystals and like sitting with the different wands and seeing how their energies feel differently, and working with crystal grids, setting intentions, playing with how the energies shift as you move the crystals around. A great way to practice your energy sensitivity and to start to expand that. And the crystals can really expand you and boost you and help you kind of automatically as well in those ways with their healing properties. Like for instance, I don't know why this wants to come through, or maybe this is just to help someone, you or someone else out there, but I guess I could check in and ask, but whatever. There was a brief period of time where I worked as a physical shop as an employee earlier on in my more spiritual journey, I guess you could say. And one thing that happened, like being around those crystals and that energy all the time, like really expands you energetically and like helps you pretty rapidly. Not that you can't expand rapidly by, even if you don't work at a crystal shop, of course, but like just having that energy of those crystals like can really be something that opens you up or expands you or helps you, even if it's in ways like you can't put your finger on, but you could feel the energetic support and how it shifted you or helped you over time. Like there's definitely been crystals I've been guided to buy, and I'm like, I don't know why, but then like looking back like a month or two later and feeling the energetic support I had at home because of it, and just how I felt when it was around as opposed to when it wasn't. I'm like, I can see why I bought that, with just like how I feel different now and like how it supported me, even if I wasn't like the first thought on my mind while I was going about my daily life over that time. So I don't know. But anyways, back to you. Do you have any other spiritual gifts other gifts you should focus on right now at this time? Like one of the questions that kind of comes through for me, for you, that would be good for you to kind of sit with is like, how do you want to help people? Or how do you feel called to help people? And sometimes we're just thrust into it. The universe just thrusts us into the way we're supposed to help people, or it all just like falls together really quickly. But for you, I'd sit with like, how does what you want to do line up with how you want to help people or how you could help people, and find where those intersect. And that, I feel like that itself will show you where to develop your gifts next, if that makes sense. Or that's part of it. That would be like a way to kind of start to narrow that down more for you as well, besides what I'm bringing through here. But I feel like you are someone who would be good to be someone who heals others or works to be a healer of some sort. And, as a healer, like that can look so many different ways, of course. It could look like a Reiki master or an energy worker. That could look like a massage therapist. That could look like a therapist or a counselor. But for you, let's see what they want to say for you in particular. I would be looking into like energy work and things to expand yourself energetically like that. So I hope that helps. No regrets, but like channeling would be good. Honing your energy sensitivity, anything else that's more spiritually based, spiritual gift wise. I'd also, for you, be working on like your manifestation and like playing with that more. Even if it's like short-term things or like little things, like I'd be playing with it on all sizes, like big goals, of course, manifest it, of course. But even like small things like, okay, like how do I want to feel next week? Or how do I want to feel today? Or I'd like a moment of peace sometime in the next few days, and like see how like that starts to show up and like shifts and changes things in your life. Because once you start to play with it and start to see the results, and you can start to get the feedback and start playing with it more, you can start to like just make that more of like your way of being, is co-creating and manifesting with the universe and like playing with that, and then some really cool things start to show up. So you can also just manifest your gifts showing up and increasing as well. Manifestations are difficult for me. Yeah, and you know what? I'm not saying only do small things, but try small things. See what happens. Yeah, so give it a shot and see where it leads you to. That doesn't have to be like where you stop those things. I feel like that's the next step to opening up, and maybe that is what you keep doing. That's it. Water, sir. Thank you, Prince Priestess. Good to see you, by the way. How are you? Okay. Ashmir Diraj. Will I get a better job this year? I do get next year's where it's at, job wise. For some reason next year has been a bit of a theme this live so far. But that's what I get for you, Ashmir. Like you'll have an opportunity. I would take it. I feel like like next year I feel like things really open up for you. But I definitely don't want to limit the good that can come up this year too. And there are a lot of good things coming in. Yes. Prince Priestess asks, are you making progress opening your third eye? Are they opening progress? Oh my God. Is Prince Priestess making progress opening their third eye? Yes. I get yes. I get you'll start to see the results soon too. And like another message is like it's something that just keeps expanding. I don't know if that'll make much sense. I don't know what's the best way I can describe that. It's like it opens and it keeps expanding in its capabilities, if that makes sense. So keep doing what you're doing is what I'm getting. And like I do get it'll open up pretty quickly, but over like one message for you is like over the years it's going to be very, very potent and accurate and like clean is what they're talking about, and that's why they want you to get started. Not that you haven't already been starting with it, but that's why I feel like a message of like getting started with that more pertinently is coming through. Not that you and trust your own intuition on what to keep doing as far as opening your intuition or expanding it, but right now I get keep doing what you're doing. But not that you won't make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, because I think like you absolutely can have progress in a short amount of time, or just like these like bursts of progress where suddenly everything like the floodgates open and like all the work you've been doing like really pays off if you've been working on your intuition or channeling. But what for some reason the message I'm getting for you over the years it really pays off and it's really potent, clean, accurate, and you'll be one of the most intuitive people you know. Love the booster. Thank you. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty well. I think. I got a massage yesterday, and I don't know if that just brought some more like, how sometimes that moves things in your system, and like that, I don't know if that brought some like sickness out to be released or like flushed out of my system, but I'm feeling a little bit coffee and, not coffee like the drink, but I'm coughing a bit, and I did like just roll out of bed a little bit late for today, so that might be part of why I'm like this a little bit, but you're so welcome. Okay, next question. Beauty Love Mercy asks, okay, so is Beauty Love Mercy fulfilling their soul's purpose? Yes. And sometimes it's not all at once is something I'm getting. Like you do have a whole life where, depending on the person, what I'm getting is like you do have your whole life, and like depending on the area of your life, different areas of your purpose might be activated or more active at that time. Overall, yes. And like they were starting to sing, let me see how they want me to give the message for you here. Because they were starting to sing that Bon Jovi song. It was like, whoa, we're halfway there. So how does that apply to your question? As far as fulfilling your soul's purpose? I mean, like the message I'm getting is don't force yourself to do all of it at once or try to squeeze all of it into every moment. Kind of the important thing to hold is like, first and foremost, setting the intention to fulfill your soul's purpose, either in a big way, if that's what you want to do. I would also trust you're not messing it up. If this is even a question on your mind, sometimes, it shows up in your mind because it's something that your soul wants you to focus on, life wants you to focus on to kind of bring you more that direction. But if it's even on your mind, I'm not too worried about you like completely messing it up and driving off a cliff metaphorically regarding it, is the other thing I'd say. So like definitely set the intention to fulfill your soul's purpose in the highest and best ways. Like you could even say moment to moment or day by day or just overall, and just let kind of like the universe kind of adjust things and steer the ship towards that direction. And like a lot of you, if anyone else is curious, like the way it's coming, like a lot of you are like automatically fulfilling that just by showing up and living your life and allowing the experiences to come to you. Because what I get is like your soul is very much a part of life and what shows up. And like there's a lot of things you did sign up for that are just kind of taken care of. And, you know, of course, life has an infinite intelligence and wisdom to it. Source is all of it. The universe is infinitely intelligent and wise. Source is infinitely intelligent and wise. So, of course, like the experiences you need can easily be brought to you to bring out your soul's purpose or to fulfill it. And sometimes your soul's purpose, it can look very grand and big in the physical, but it's a little bit different than we think as far as like, oh, I must go work at, I don't know, I must go work at this pharmaceutical company and then make it to the top dog and then I will change the system. It's like, that might not be the physical way your purpose plays out, but maybe you do have a purpose of transforming systems for the highest good and making them more of unconditional love. But that could also look like a friend group that you show up and like you transform the energetic system of the friend group, and all of a sudden it's more loving, and you kind of just by showing up in the way you are and the way you act, like you activate more love in the dynamic. And then maybe you start a business that's consulting, and then through this consulting business you're transforming slowly like the cultures of other, you know, corporate businesses to be more of love. Like that's like a way like you have this purpose that plays out in everything you do in life, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't overlook like the ways that your life is now, that you're playing out aspects of your soul's purpose that you don't realize you are, is something I'm saying, something I'm getting as well. It is something I'm saying, but it's what they're saying. So I keep that in mind as well as an answer to, are you fulfilling your soul's purpose? Anything else that would be important for you to know about that? I feel like for you, you are someone who would be good to at least try to take things big as far as your goals and ambitions. I feel like for you, what I get is it would be good for you to be in the limelight a little bit, or try to be if you aren't already. So I don't know, however you feel called, and don't feel like you need to rush into that. I would just sit with that and see how that might start to show up for you if you want that. So overall, yes, but don't force yourself to do it all at once. Hope that makes sense. Aspiring Human 13. That sounds great, but I think we all want to feel personally fulfilled. I think, yeah, I get that. And I think that really ties into that as well. And I think when you're fulfilling your soul's purpose, it will feel more fulfilling. And I know, like, I don't know. I mean, that's the answer I got first and foremost, but you could also manifest, I asked to fulfill my soul's purpose in the most fulfilling way for me. And sometimes when you feel like you're off purpose, that's life kind of redirecting you to look at like, what would be more fulfilling, or how can I create more fulfillment for myself? And it's life's way of drawing you forward, you could say, and making those changes. I don't know, but I feel like if your purpose was to transform, to go back to the example, if your purpose was to transform systems with love and see that impact, like you would be more fulfilled as you watched people shift, or there's something in that you would be very fulfilling, that you'd enjoy in what you're doing. But so I don't know, but that's a good point. I'd pay attention to the things that are fulfilling to you, even in the things you're doing right now, if there's anything, and if there's not, maybe it's time to manifest some more fulfillment for you. Anyways, Michaela Allen O2 asked, left my job, what does Spirit have to say? I get you're going to be totally taken care of, and maybe you already have that squared away, but you know, they did start playing the Bob Marley song, as they do. Every little thing's going to be all right regarding that situation. Anything else Spirit has to say for you regarding that? I would start to charge towards what you want to do. I just kind of felt pulled to pull a tarot card. Knight of Swords. And what I get is I would charge towards what you want to do, is the words I got when I pulled this card. The other thing that they're putting my eyes to are like the trees in the back, like the wind looks like they're, and this isn't the traditional Rider-Waite, so this might be something totally different in traditional Rider-Waite. Because like when in black and gold, it's the same imagery, but it looks a little bit different. But to me, these look like trees being blown in like a hurricane or the wind. If there is like a storm, I would also like let the storm pass is something they're talking about. Because like I don't really get you're going to be swept away in the wind. Like this gentleman is divinely protected in the hurricane that he's kind of charging through, I guess. And the way it's intuitively showing up for me is a message for you. This go around. The other thing that they're putting my eyes to are there's these butterflies on this collar of the horse, which is about, well, to me, what I leapt to was transformation and through your situation. But let me see if they have like something they specifically want to say about it. Like one thing about the situation is like this is something that changes you in a good way, and something that actually elevates you. So I would just keep charging. So that's kind of what, anything else for you. I would also be a little bit patient. Things are coming together. And also don't fret, but like I would do what you have to do in the meantime to take care of business and like secure anything you need to secure. Hope that makes sense. Of course I don't. Well, anything else for you that'd be important for you to know? Pull the top card of the tarot deck. Okay, Ace of Cups. New offer are the words I got. They just said to pull the top card of the tarot deck, and Ace of Cups is what was here. So they're also putting my eyes to this dove with the, this wafer thing. And what I'm getting is it's a lot of grace in your situation. And maybe that's something you don't see right now, but this is something that leads to better. And you do have a new offer coming if you need more finances or need a new job or anything like that. You're going to be taken care of. I'd be patient. And I don't think anything's going to fall apart too badly either in your life. And I do feel like it was good that you left. I don't think it was, that's something I'm getting kind of like last second there for you. Hey, Texas Jess, good to see you. Yeah. Just to support Texas Jess here, moderator. By the way, shout out to you. Thank you so much. And shout out to the mods. I think I forgot to shout out the mods last week, so I apologize to the mods. But they're awesome. They really help. But yeah, do your best not to spam Q&A. Q&A is a good place to submit your question because that's where I'll answer a lot of them. But spamming the chats doesn't always help. It does kind of like flood things, and I can't always get to as many questions that way. But Q&A does preserve your question. I just trust that it is a little bit random the order they show up in. I just trust I'm guided and led to, and like the right questions pop up, and then my guides tell me what to answer as well, and what, when they pop up in front of me. So I'm just going to go through this as I'm guided, and Q&A is probably the best way to deposit the question, and then it kind of frees up chat a little bit if you're not spamming it for people to connect and stuff. But not that you're doing anything wrong. I know that's probably a common practice where everyone just kind of spams the chat in a lot of the lives where people either do readings or things like that. So no worries. But just a request, just a request to kind of help things run more smoothly. Okay. Getting Tipsy Nails asks, best way to protect energy or not take on anyone's stuff, I'm guessing is what you were getting to. I know there's like a weird word limit for the questions. So I'm going to answer this for you and then just general advice that's coming through as well. So for you specifically, what's the best way to go about it? This isn't the typical crystal I'd recommend, but it's the one that's coming to mind. Is like citrine, like either natural citrine. And why citrine? It's more about keeping your solar plexus clear, interestingly enough. And I think it can, I don't want to confuse anyone, but let's see how they want me to give this information. A way that things can show up, and I think it's at least a semi-common framework that's out there, is like, and I feel like depending on, okay, I'll just say what they're saying, is that like sometimes other people's stuff can be harbored in the solar plexus energetically. And that's part of why the recommendation is a citrine for you to kind of keep that clean and clear. But also to keep your self-worth activated so you don't ever feel like, what's the word? You don't feel like you want to take people's stuff on, if that makes sense. Where it's more like if you have your self-worth, like you might feel less inclined to hear someone say something and start to feel empathetic and like take that on to try and help them on some level. Not that that's something you all need to freak out about subconsciously or anything. It's just something that kind of came to mind. The other thing that could help you, you might have already done this, and I don't know if you already did this. Hopefully it's something that's already helping. And no affiliation, but there is a company called twistedsage.com, and they make these energy tools. It's pretty cool. They just kind of program, it's either copper or sterling silver, like they have wands, they have pendants and stuff, and like they program them with etheric, like energetic templates so that the tools tend to, like, they're always clean and clear, or they tend to always be clean and clear, and they kind of always just run in a good way, for the highest good. And that can help to keep your energy fields clean and clear, and to be less like stuck with other people's stuff, and just kind of help you bolster your fields and kind of help you keep you from taking things on. It's another recommendation I have just for you and in general. If you check out their website and everything calls to you, again, no affiliation. I just like their tools. So anything else for you that would help you protect your energy? Some type of, if you don't already do this, another thing I get for you as a recommendation is some type of daily affirmation where you're like, it's like you're saying it every day and really getting the momentum of the energies moving that direction. Like it could be like a prayer or like a mantra that you're setting before you kind of start the day, but like something like Archangel Michael, please watch over my energy fields in the highest and best ways. Keep me from taking on other people's stuff. If there's any clarity or truth or other tools that would help me with this, please bring that in. In the meantime, continue to watch over my energy fields and keep them clean and clear and in their highest and best for me. Thank you so much. But like some type of intention like that is one that comes to me that could be helpful, that you're just saying every day. You're really like getting the momentum of that going in your life, you could say, if that makes sense. Another message I'm getting, and I want to see where they want to go with this. One thing I'm getting for you is like, I don't really get you need protection. I think what I'm getting is you need something that keeps your energy fields clean and clear, is the way they're presenting the information. And protection is an interesting topic, and you'll hear a million different things from a million different people, and some people will be like, I don't think we need to use that word at all. It's like the more you're just like in that state of like, oh, I'm divinely protected and taken care of, the more that's it. And some people will be like, oh my God, I can't leave my bed without like 20 rituals of protection. Otherwise, I don't know. I tend to lean more towards the first one, if I'm being honest. Are we talking about scams? I'll get to that in a second. Anyways, but that's like another tip they want to say for you is like, you don't need protection per se, but something that keeps your energy fields clean and clear, which is the way they're saying it to you. Anything else that would help you? So switching to like general advice, and those things could definitely help you, anyone else who's listening, if that felt like one of those resonated for you, or a few of those resonated for you. Like daily mantras and rituals, of course. And like asking your guides, I think it's underrated just to like ask for that assistance. One thing that I've been shown that's been helpful for me as well over time is one time I was just kind of sitting in a laundromat, and I was kind of sitting about this concept, because there's a lot of different tools out there or like energetic practices that didn't tend to work for me, or it's like I'd heard too many other perspectives where it's like I don't know how it was more me in my head, if I'm being honest. And one of the things that I was shown was like, oh, okay, and you can take this if it works for you or not, but what they called it was like an angelic tube. And so what it was like straight from source is like an angelic tube of energy that would engulf the entirety of your being. And then like other requests I'd make would be like, okay, if there are already energies with me that aren't for the highest good, like either clean and clear my energies or transmute any negative, or transmute any energies not for my highest good and energies that would be for my highest good, and just kind of form a healthy energetic boundary that would be for the highest good, where what's for my highest good to come to me comes to me, what's not for my highest good doesn't come to me. And then you have like this column of energy, or this angelic tube straight from source, And the concept that they gave to me as well is like, okay, this tube and like the energy, it's infinitely intelligent and wise. It knows just what to do in every moment. And so that might be like an energetic tool or practice you try. It's just, and they gave me a prayer to like activate it because I asked for that, and it's in my notes on my phone, so I don't think I can pull it up right now because I'm doing this on my phone. So I wish I remembered what that was, but I think like even just like if you wanted to try it, you could be like, okay, I asked for that angelic tube that Brandon was talking about to activate. Thanks so much, and just try it out, see what happens. The other intentions you can set. Another way I've spun it was like, just like I was like, oh, what about like a source tube, like just a tube of source, source sending me a tube. That's worked well. But you can also set intentions like, okay, like with this tube, like it boosts my intuition, it boosts my claircognizance and my spiritual gifts. It helps me be who and what I truly be. I'm higher connected in the highest and best ways. And of course it works only for the highest good. So I don't know, you can also just set intentions for it. But that was a tool they presented to me that is something that I'd potentially like to offer to you guys. If it works, if that ends up helping you, that'd be awesome. So I hope that helps whoever is watching this in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. It's a good tool. I've been working with that one. The other thing is that I've been doing more, and that's helped me, is just like really having energetic awareness of how I'm feeling as I'm going about the day, and then just like some type of cleansing ritual or something to do to kind of cleanse my energies at the end of every day. Or just like with some type of consistency has been helpful for me, just doing a lot of readings and stuff for people, or just something that keeps me balanced and cleansed, and of course, like you can let your practice evolve as you do, and as you feel like you need something else or you're guided to bring in something else. But those are some tips and starting points to help with you. And of course, like there's the common advice like black tourmaline and hematite or shungite are all good good crystals to help with that as well. But those weren't the specific ones I was getting for you getting tipsy nails in particular. And I'll talk about it as well, and then we'll move on to the next question. But another thing that's helped me, or that there's a modality called Access Consciousness. And I'll just work with those tools as I'm guided to, or I'll do my best to just work with it as I'm guided to. But one of their concepts is like potentially like a lot of what you pick up on isn't yours, like thoughts or emotions. And so it's like having that awareness of like when a thought or something shows up, it's like their thing is like you ask, okay, who does that belong to? Is it mine or someone else's? And for them, one of their concepts is light and heavy, but it's more energetic. It's like what's true for you, for them, the way they operate is like what's true for you feels lighter and what's a lie to you feels heavy. So you can kind of gauge the barometer of like, oh, like what feels best for me to do today? Like I'm going to go like thinking about doing this. If that feels light, okay, I'm going to do that. Feels heavy to like do this, then I'm going to avoid those things. But if it feels light when you ask who does this belong to, is it mine or someone else's, that means it's someone else's, and that energy should start to lighten up. And sometimes that's all it takes for it to lift. And then if it starts to lighten up, you can also do, okay, return to sender for the highest good. And if you want to read more about that, there's a book called, they do have a lot of YouTube videos as well. And like if you looked up like Access Consciousness and the dude who talks about it that I've listened to a lot, Dane Heer, Dainheer, like if you look up Access Consciousness on YouTube and like who does this belong to or something like that, there should be a video, one of his videos explaining it. So hopefully that helps. But Access Consciousness, really interesting modality. I'm not technically like I'm not like a certified practitioner of it, but I've like looked into a lot of their tools and read, some of the books. And so I kind of just, and following my own intuition and channeling, like I just know how to work with it for me in certain ways. So I don't know, hope all that helps someone out there who's listening. This is super helpful. Awesome. Glad to hear it, Tanis Modes. So next question. I'm gonna take a water break. Take a quick sip. Gabby, is my intuition right? For you, my body pendulum swinging to yes. For you, what I'm getting is like, yes, most of the time. You might still be learning to like discern it, if that makes sense, or like realize what it's telling you. I feel like you're pretty good though, honestly. I would trust it. As long as it's not fear-based is a message I'm getting for you. Like sometimes we get an intuition of something as not something you want to hear. And that's a little bit different than what I'm saying. Like for instance, like one time, well, of course, like this was a while ago, this was like 2019, but I was in a relationship and I kind of asked the question, like, this was before I was like at this point where, I mean, I was kind of getting into this point where I was having more like full channel mode experiences and like my intuition was like really opening up, but it wasn't like where I'm at now. But I asked like, okay, like what should I do regarding my relationship? I was driving home one day and like they kind of gave me a visual of like a Kit Kat bar, like you're supposed to break it. They just showed a Kit Kat bar like break, and then they gave me an arrow pointing up. It was like break up. I'm like, what? No. But long term that turned out like that probably would have been a good option for me if I'd listened to that. But nowadays it'd be much easier for me to listen to my intuition because they would either just tell me or some way, shape, or form, like it'd be a very blatant visual or like it's very difficult for me to confuse my thoughts and intuition and channeling. That really, like, it's very different for me between the two. Like the energy behind them is different, the way they show up is different. All that being said, like keep going. Like it will, especially if you're setting the intention that's more clear and easy to discern between the two, like that'll show up for you as well. But overall, yes, it is like the answer I'm getting. I guess an example of like a fear-based thing was like, I'm not saying this has to happen to you, but like, let's say all this really crazy heavy stuff happens to you and you're just kind of like not in and you know what, it's usually okay to channel when you're not in a good space, or if you feel a little bit lower, like down in the dumps or something, like you can still, that's actually something that can be really uplifting and insightful and helpful when you connect with your guides or source or your highest self and channel like messages to help you through or support you through that, because that supports you energetically, because you're bringing through energy and messages from up there, but it also supports you with like the message that comes through. But like if you get like I wish I could describe it. What would be best for me to do in this situation? But if you get something that's just, and like I don't really encounter this anymore myself. It was more just like I was in a really heavy period, and I learned to discern between the two, and then eventually I just never had to deal with it again. But if you get something that's just blatantly fear-based and just like not right, like just trust yourself. I don't really feel like you will either, which is good. But I don't know. I'd keep that in mind. But if you get something like blatantly just like seems fear-based or not right, it's probably not true. Like if you get like this, like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm going to die. Like if I don't move to this place at XYZ time, I'm going to die. Like probably not true, honestly. Unless like, because it's just like a different energy behind it than like an intuitive or a channeled message when it's more fear-based is something I'd say. So keep that in mind. Hope that helps. And again, I don't deal with that anymore. And most people don't have those experiences, or if they do, it's like temporary and they discern the difference, and then they like step more into like, okay, this is more my actual intuition and channeling. And sometimes like as you're getting into it, it's more just logging through the experiences until you can discern it more accurately for you. And I'm sure there's other tips and tricks from other intuitives or channelers out there that would be really helpful. For me, I kind of just kept going until it worked. And it always worked. I don't know why I'm getting into this. I'm going to get back into your guys' questions in just a second. But it always worked, and it was always like, there was always like, I'd see it was accurate, and I'd see it as accurate, but there were times where I had to have some fortitude and be like, if I wasn't getting a clear answer, or I'd pull some cards and be like, I don't know what it means. But like after you get through that period and like your gifts really ramp up, and then like just they keep proving over and over and over again that it's accurate, that's when you can be like, okay, I get this, I know what's going on. Like I always get a message when I pull a card, etc. So I don't know if that helps for anyone to hear, but anyways, next question. FedEx Child asked Montana, that's an interesting username. I like it. Montana, am I going to meet my soulmate soon? So I'm going to check in a couple different ways with this, just to make sure I'm answering your question. So are you going to meet your soulmate soon? So for me, the definition of soulmate is like someone who you've had, some past lives with, someone who like you have that soul connection with, either as a result of that or for a similar reason. And so like, I know some people have a soulmate thing. There's like, oh, my soulmate is the person I'm destined to meet and marry and have a forever relationship with. So for me, like, a friend could be, I've met friends who are soulmates, or I've met lovers who are soulmates, or even like family members. So like, will you, as far as that definition, and we'll go into a couple different definitions just to make sure I'm answering your question. Will you meet any of those soulmates soon? I do feel like you already have a few. You already have a few around you, and there are definitely more on a way. Especially if you go through any like further spiritual awakening, or get really deep into that. I do get you'll be like surrounded by soulmates by that definition. As far as like a romantic partner that you'd really like to meet, or someone who's really like that kind of other definition that people will gravitate towards, like someone you're supposed to be with a long time. Okay, but as far as like what you meant and your question, I'm just gonna ask that: are you going to meet your soulmate soon? I do feel like it's more down the road. Honestly, it's not like soon. Like it's not gonna be like tomorrow, and it's probably not gonna be this year. Honestly, 2024, 2025 look really promising for you, but I wouldn't just because depending on how you take that. I wouldn't poo-poo any relationships that show up in the meantime, and I wouldn't like discount those, because sometimes those are things that prepare us for someone who's more long-term or anything like that. Sometimes it's like, don't cling to that time period and just like put your life on hold until then and like in love or anything, just because I said that. As another message I want to give to you, make sure like you're receiving what is coming your way and allowing the universe to lead you into it, as opposed to getting hung up on the message, is something I'd say as well. So I would leave your life, maybe just keep what I said in your back pocket, and just keep an eye out for what happens in that time period, but without being super clinging to it or attached, and like let the universe lead you into that love at the right time. Because you will have someone that you consider a soulmate that you're with long term, is what I get. That is something that's in the cards for you, and in the stars for you is what they're showing, not just in the cards. So hope that helps. Anyways. Hope that made sense. Antonia asks, so in a cool username, will Antonia leave their current situation soon? Soon enough. I'm getting springtime, potentially. I'm not sure what the situation is or how difficult it would be to leave or what, but what I get is like, I was getting like March, April, springtime, kind of around then, is what I'm getting for you leaving your current situation. Or things starting to lead you that direction more fully, where it's like, it's actually happening, is what I'm getting. I get you're not stuck. I do feel like it's going to transition pretty soon, though, is what I'm getting. So hope that helps. Ooh. Elephant Whispers 111. Hey, how's it going? What messages does Archangel Michael have for you? So they want me to pull a card. The Void is the card coming out. So let me see what the message is for you here. The first thing I'm getting for you with this card is it's okay to be where you're at right now. And in some ways, the messages sit tight. Like everything around you is going to shift, is one thing I'm getting for you in this time period coming up here. I feel what I'm getting is like, you'll know what to do after that happens, is a message I'm getting for you with this card. This card also made sense to me. And I know we had like that. We did a personal reading a few weeks back, a month, but I know we did a reading. I totally recognize you. It kind of makes sense for you as well, just because just some of this is going to be more for you. I'm not going to get your business out there, but just some of the things you were going through and some of the states you were talking about, like the void, I feel like could represent the period of time you're in with some of the ways you're feeling and what you're going through, if that makes sense. So anything else with this card for you regarding that? Another message I get for you with the void is, let this be a period of time that transforms you. And like, there is another card deck that I actually don't own. It's a card deck that a friend has, and she's done a couple readings for me, and so I'm familiar with her deck because she really likes this Archangel Metatron card deck that's out there. And there is a card about the void in that deck as well. And in that deck, what they talk about the void being, and it's because there's almost like a little like meditation that they kind of present to you, where it's like you kind of sit and let Archangel Metatron like lead you into this void space where you can kind of shift and just be and let things shift and transform and get what you need, and then exit it at the right time, if that makes sense. And sometimes you go through a dark phase just to transform. And that card deck wasn't about leading you into a dark phase, obviously. This is a separate message. What I'm getting as well is sometimes you get led into a dark phase, or you go through a dark phase just to transform and just to blossom and just to be able to handle the things you want to do and create in life and be the person who can create that and support that. And I'm not saying that's always necessary to do that, but sometimes that's part of the journey, and sometimes that's the way that would work best, and that's why that's occurring, if that makes sense. It's another message I got for you with the void card. There's also a message of like don't fret. Things are lightening up for you, especially over the long term here. I really get you're gonna have a breakthrough this year where there's just more light in your life. Things brightening up, things feeling a bit better. And sometimes when things seem like they're about to get darkest or they hit their darkest point, that's when the light breaks through. And I guess that goes to that cliche quote. That reminds me of that cliche quote. It's always darkest before the dawn. But that's kind of, that's what they were saying. Is like, it might seem like it's about to get dark, and then like all of a sudden it's like, the entrance to the catacombs or the tomb opens up, and then the light comes forth, and you're able to step out into what you're meant to be doing. And that's kind of the long-term thing I'm seeing for you with that. But I would let yourself be for a time. And Manifest was the other card that really jumped out at me for you as well. That was behind the Void card when I kind of opened the deck. And so with Manifest here, what is the message for you here? One message I'm getting for you is dream bigger. I think based on our previous conversation, you already dream big. I would dream bigger, and I would ask for more. And I would also ask for more support if you don't already on the day-to-day. And just like, even if it seems really small, it's kind of like it reminds me of like, nothing's too big or too small to ask for support from. There's infinite amount of support available and infinite amount of help that could come to you for your highest good. Whether it's just from Archangel Michael or the angels or Source, your spiritual team, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no reason not to ask for as much help as you want or as much as you'd like to ask for, as the universe is infinitely capable and of delivering and of helping you. But right now, I'd manifest your way out of where you're at as part of the message as well. On top of just sitting and letting things change around you, I'd start to ask. You already do, I think, but ask for more of the direction you want to go and where you want to be and how you want life to feel. And as the void shifts and as you shift in the void and as the things shift around you as you're being in this time period, that stuff starts to show up and the path becomes clear to manifest those things through your actions and everything else. So I hope that helps, Elephant Whispers. Is there any more messages for you? I feel like there's one more small one. 8 of Cups here. And what I'm getting for you with 8 of Cups, for you, Elephant Whispers, is walking away from your old ways of being. And that's kind of what the void, well, that's partially what the void is about, but any other messages for you with this card here? Yeah, what I was first saying was like walking away from your old ways of being. and walking away from old thoughts and old thinking patterns as well, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'd take a second to be. I'd let the things shift around you. You're gonna know what to do. Ask for more of what you want. Ask for more support through this time period. Ask for more light as well. I would ask for the light to fill your life and see what happens. But I hope that helps. Tuka asks, is my friend Sarah a psychic? The way I'll say it is there's someone who could develop psychic abilities. Does that make sense? And they have psychic tendencies. It's definitely something they could hone and get really strong with, if that makes sense as well. That's the way I'd answer that based on, those are words I'm getting. And you know, like when you ask, like, is my friend Sarah a psychic? Like the way my body pendulum works, is when there's like the last thing it ends up on is the answer. So I'm getting like no, yes, or like no, yes, or yeah, no, yes, no, yes. So overall the answer is like, yes, they do have psychic abilities. But as far as it's, I think that's why my answer was the way it was, is it's not like they're a full blown psychic and they could open up a shop. They definitely have those abilities. They definitely could do good work. They're definitely very strong, and capable. They just have to practice is what I'm getting. And hopefully that answers that question for you. That's what I'm getting for the situation. So, okay. Next question. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I'm kind of going through and seeing what they want me to... I'm going to take a water break really quickly. Just take a second. Okay. Asa Prola? I might be saying that wrong. Asa Prola, I'll just say that. Anything that you need to hear from Spirit right now. So anything that Asa Prola needs to hear from Spirit right now would be highest and best for them to know. The Sage is the first card coming out. So what is the message with you with the Sage here? One of the words that are coming to me, the first words that are coming to me, or some of the words that are coming to me, are ancient wisdom. One thing I'm getting for you is like you're starting to awaken more of that wisdom within you, and becoming more of the sage in your life. There is kind of like a weird side message of like, don't rely on others too much, especially when it comes to choices that really matter for you. Don't rely on others to steer you without consulting yourself is a message I'm getting for you, that I feel like would be important to keep in mind as well. Like a message I'm getting for you, like regarding the ancient wisdom thing, is like you're coming online more like intuitively, like they're saying divine faculties, like anything like channeling or even mediumship, depending on what you want to get into. Like that stuff is starting to awaken more. And I do get this year we'll see potentially a spike of that for you. Not potentially. I'm getting this year we'll see a spike of that for you, is what I'm getting for you as a message as well. So next card here. Share wisdom, which kind of plays into the sage, honestly, which I think is funny that the sage and share wisdom came in. Like one thing I'm getting for you as well is like you're meant to be a guide for others. I really get for you, like you're not really meant to be wrapped up in public opinion or what everyone thinks. In some ways, you're meant to help guide people or lead the way or even open pathways for people to their own healing or to their own understanding of life and what's happening, is something I'm getting as well. That's a message I get for you. Another thing for you is like, this is a good time for you to let things percolate, and like let things shift within you. And if you have to take care of business or take care of your responsibilities, of course, do that. But I wouldn't be like rushing ahead into anything right now. I'd kind of let things, like, the way they're showing it to me is like letting things boil within you. It's like you're kind of sitting, you're almost in like a meditation kind of pose, sitting, and like there's like, it's like, I wish I could describe the visuals better sometimes, but it's almost like letting like the pot boil, or letting things boil within you, or like percolate, come to realizations and come to understandings. Because like right now, like one of the things what I'm getting for you is like you're burning off a lot of stuff, like emotionally, or even like idea wise, or kind of like burning through certain things at a bit of a rapid rate, so that you're prepared for the future here. A lot of the forward momentum for you comes in March, is something I'm getting. And March as well, just for everyone, it seems like collectively is kind of an important month. It's come up in a lot of the readings I've been doing, and it's just come up in a lot of the messages I've been providing here as well, as something that's come to my attention. And my guides just wanted me to say that because I was thinking about it, and they're like, yeah, say it. So there's another message I have for you too. Of course, like there's a message I'm getting, like just like don't cling to people right now. Let's see here. Don't cling to people. What else? I already kind of said don't let people steer your ship. Anything else that's important to get to for you? I'm going to pull a tarot card as well. 7 of Wands. So there's a lot of things in life with the 7 of Wands popping out here that you're right about, is something I'm getting. But not everyone realizes that. And that's something that they want to say for you as well. Why is that important? I think that's more just so you don't get steered awry by people, which I think is really interesting. I do feel like there's going to be a time where you start speaking to people more, or putting yourself out there more. I really wouldn't hesitate to do that if and when you feel called to do that. Like that's part of your path. Like you're supposed to be like doing that. So I wouldn't shy away from discussions that help change people, or even putting yourself out there in a way that is a guide to others, if that makes sense. The Emperor also coming out for you as a message. The message I'm getting is stability incoming for you, which is really good, like over the next year. And maybe it even starts, I'm kind of getting spring, maybe is when this starts, but it's like a furtherance of your stability, and just like having all that you need and knowing what to do with it, if that makes sense. Because the Emperor is definitely like a director. He kind of directs things, like what happens in the empire, like where does the army go, things like that. And like there is a message that is really similar to what I've already said, is be the director of your life, and start to steer the ship more. But the other thing that they're pointing my eyes to is this like thing in his hand over here, and you can't really see it very well on the camera, right here. And I'm sure in traditional Rider-Waite, this is not what this is, but it looks like a bomb to me right now as they're pointing my eyes to it. So what does that mean? For you, I get this recommendation to not blow up your life. I feel like that's something you'd have to do intentionally, by the way. This isn't like, oh, be careful about all this stuff. It's more like, don't intentionally blow up your life. It's more like sit and let things percolate, if that makes sense. And another message for you, before I move on here, is they're putting my eyes to the mountain in the back of the card. There's like this mountain behind the Emperor, and they're kind of talking about like getting to the top. And there's this message like you're going to get really close to the top. So what does that mean? I get this is more about career, or business, whatever your career is. You actually really have a good chance to get to the top, or make it like really high up in whatever you're doing, is what they're talking about. So I definitely wouldn't hold back regarding that when the time comes, if that makes sense. But you're meant to be someone who's more on the top as well, is a good message. So I hope that helps. It made sense as some of the messages for you. Hope that just brought some of the messages or was helpful. You are on the right track, by the way, is something I'm getting to say to you. There's also a message like don't hold yourself back, before I move on to the next question. So what does that mean? Like in what way? Like don't let people around you hold you back when you know what you want. Like don't hold yourself back from that for other people or out of fear. Like I get this message for you, like life is on the other side of change. If you're willing to, again, don't blow up your life, but if you're willing to go through change when it comes in the right ways and at a steady pace, and keep creating change when it's right, that's when life opens up, is something I'm getting for you. So I hope that really makes sense as a message as well. Texas Jess asks, any guidance on my career path, on your career path? Any guidance on Texas Jess's career path? Good to see you, by the way. How are you doing? So what's the first message? Honestly, the first thing I hear is that things are going to change. I do get I don't know what you're doing career-wise right now. I do get you're meant for something bigger. And you're not meant to play small either. Texas Jess is something they're saying as well. And yeah, things are going to change. Death card kind of is about change. So that's so okay. Any other messages with the death card for you here? So honestly, like what I'm getting for you as with the death card as well is like it's kind of time to put to death any of your inhibitions and really start to take leaps when it feels right to you. I know we're in the middle of Mercury in retrograde. I don't think I'd worry about that right now. I feel like the leaps are actually coming more in the future. When I check in, like post Mercury in retrograde, you'll kind of know what that is, or maybe you already know what that's talking about. But I do kind of get it's time to make bigger moves. And you know, King of Pentacles is popping out here as well. So what's the message with King of Pentacles? And sometimes King of Pentacles can represent entrepreneurship. I don't get that for you. I get this is like not entrepreneurship. This is more like getting more like stability in your career. So other messages for you in career. So I wouldn't be afraid to make big changes when it's time. The other thing that's coming through for you, the other thing they're pointing my eyes to, there's like two things that really jump out at me, but there's this bull behind the King of Pentacles. And so what's the bull about? It's about increase. They're kind of showing me, they're showing me a stock market chart. And you know, there's like the concept of the bull market where that's like things are rising in price. It's like being bullish about things. And that's kind of where you're headed, is like you're seeing an increase through the changes you're making, if you're making changes, by taking a new job. And Ace of Cups was right behind that. That's about new offer, of course. It's also something you want, or something you're more inclined to do, or something that lightens you up or is lighter than what you've already been doing, or something that brings more lightness to you in one way, shape, or form is what I'm getting as a message for you. So what else is the message with the Ace of Cups, if anything, here? Essentially, what I'm getting is you're going to get a new job and it's going to lead to more money and more, potentially more stability. But I kind of feel like you need to change, honestly, or like it needs to change, or something needs to change about that. And I think with the High Priestess coming out here, one of the messages I get is like, you already know what you want, or like even some of what to do even. I think it's more of just like, how does that play out? If this makes any sense to you, Texas Jess. So what else do they want me to go to with this? And I would really trust yourself with these changes as well, or any changes you want to make. Cause like you kind of already know what's right for you and like what you need. Like some of the key now is just like manifesting that and like letting it show up and like taking those leaps when they present themselves. There's a message as well, like behind the High Priestess, there are these like pomegranates or whatever the heck they are. They look like pomegranates to me on this card. And it's like, I get this message, like your life will bear fruits. And that's kind of where you're headed, is just a more fruitful time, is something they're talking about as well. I'd also like, weirdly, I'd pay attention to your dreams and like things that come to you in your dreams as a side message, that's coming through for you. Because there are messages that come to you there, interestingly enough. I hope that helps and makes any sense and brings the guidance you were looking for regarding that. Weirdly, so I just pulled the Death card and the Tarot card, and I just flipped open the Oracle card deck over here, and I got Death as well. I really feel like it's no more of the old stuff. It's time for new. So I hope that helps. It makes any sense. But hope that gives some type of help. Thank you so much. Makes perfect sense. My dreams are crazy vivid. Cool. Awesome. Glad to hear it. I hope that helped. Okay. So next Q&A question here. Divinely protected, 1, 2, 3, 4. My body has been hurting. Is it due to ascension? That's not what I'm getting. I would recommend getting it checked just in case if you feel good about that, if that feels right to you. I don't necessarily get that's because of ascension, is what I'm getting. But the recommendation I was getting was get it checked out. Whoever you trust, healthcare provider, whatever's, the best way for you to do that. So is it like anything super serious? Honestly, the way they're saying is it's just worth getting it checked is what I'd say. I don't know. I don't think it's like super serious, but I can't purport myself to be a doctor. I'm not a doctor. So that's the recommendation I'm getting for you. Hope that helps. Take care of you. I don't really get its ascension, but it's also not the end of the world based on what I get. So hope that helps. Butterfly transformation. Anything from Butterfly Transformation's guides today? Let's see what would be highest and best to come through for you. So the first message that's coming through, I pulled the card and it's Sacred Sexuality. And the message I get with this card is honor all of you. And to get this message for you, like, don't confine yourself to what society wants to see. Like, honor all the little parts of you and pieces of you and all that comes up. Don't try to present just a slice of you to the world. Try to be all of you is one of the messages that they're getting. They're providing for you. There's also a message for you. You have bigger things coming for you. Like there is a message like dream big. Like there's bigger things coming for you. Like that's something I'm getting as well. So don't be afraid to go big. And I know that seems to be a message that can come through a lot in this life, but if it's coming through, it's coming through. And maybe there's a lot of you who are meant to go big with things, but, it's not like only one of us can go big with something. But all that being said is, the other thing I'm getting for you is gradual life improvements. It's kind of just like one area improves and then another area improves and then another area improves. Is something they're talking about as well. And they're kind of talking about mental health for you. So what's that about? And I'm getting mental health is going to improve for you specifically is something I'm getting. If you're taking steps to help yourself, definitely keep doing that. Keep going in that direction. It is like helping you is something I'm getting as well. Another message that they want to say for you is like the world is changing. Things aren't going to be the same in 5 years. So a lot of the ways you feel stuck or trapped, or maybe you're in a specific job, it's like there's a lot of different opportunity coming. A lot of different things that could show up that change your life overnight. And an example could be TikTok. Like TikTok, TikTok started off as like Musically, I think. And I think it was around in like the 20 teens. But like TikTok, as far as like what it's become now, was only pretty recent, like 2019, 2020 was more when I started to see people moving away from like the dancing thing to, and I didn't really start posting until like late 2020. So, but just from what I saw and in general, maybe I'm wrong, but like 2019, 2020 was probably like the prime time to get on TikTok and start doing something besides dancing, because that's when everyone else started to, is like right after that. I think, I could be wrong, but it's like that kind of came out of nowhere. Like 5 years ago, that wasn't an opportunity that people had to grow a business or a following or network or whatever people would use it for. But all of a sudden it's here, and a lot of people can do really cool things and help people through it as well. So you never, like in the next 5 years, like the world will be different again, and there will be other opportunities that kind of come not out of nowhere, but like, you know how like there's that concept of overnight success where it's like someone could grind for like 3-5 years, and then all of a sudden like they get to this point where it's a boiling point and it seems like they were successful overnight, but it's like they were actually working behind the scenes for like a while, and then like they just hit this point where it hit more of the public awareness, and it seemed like all of a sudden they became like super successful. And that's kind of what they're talking about with like these opportunities, is like they might like boil under the surface, like, you know, things like crypto and NFTs. Like if you were in the crypto world, you probably saw NFTs coming, but it hit this boiling point where it hit more of the collective, and all of a sudden like NFTs were this huge opportunity, or probably still are a huge opportunity for people, that's still like new. There's just like a lot more disruption in industries coming that affords opportunity to, what I'm getting is common folk, and I don't mean that as an insult. It's just like everyday people. Like it's more opportunity are coming to like to people like that, like whether you identify that as or is not as that or not, but that's something they want to say for you as well, as for some reason, or just something to have your awareness open to over the next 5 years. With the nature card coming out here, this seems to be a message that's coming through for specific people around this time period, but time to yourself would be really good. But specifically like out in nature, like I'm getting like walks, like they're kind of showing me trees. Nature can be like a transformative presence. You can really definitely have like just either realizations in nature, or like there's a quote that I really like that I don't think is the exact way my guides want me to go. I'm just gonna say it because I want to say it, and it's a Lee Harris quote. He's a channeler, cool guy. I don't know him personally, but I like his work, a lot of his work. And one of his quotes from him is, "Nature rebalances man," or "Nature rebalances, you know, humans, or you know, us." So kind of getting out in nature can rebalance. The other thing that's kind of jumping out at me, I want to see what else they want to say with this card for you. I would definitely, of course, I would always recommend paying attention to your intuition, but it is a specific message coming through for you to pay attention to your intuition. This pine cone has like 3 eyes. Like that's a lot of awareness, and that's, to me, that's like a symbol of like intuition. But there's other levels of your intuition opening up at this time. So, excuse me, pay attention to just how that's opening up further, or if it starts showing up to you differently, or if you just feel more intuitive, like pay attention to that is what they're talking about. There's also like you're expanding. There's a lot of expansion coming for you. And also a message, like they're showing me like around this moon, there's like this, you know, like there's this art that kind of depicts the moon as shining. And a message I get for you as well is you're going to shine, which is cool. Also, like another thing they're showing me is like with this card is like they kind of show this pine cone with its wings, and the wings start flapping. That's a good place for you, Prince Priestess. That's a good place to be. But they're showing this pine cone like flapping its wings and like flying away, and they're giving this message of like fly away from your current circumstances, which is kind of funny because your username is Butterfly Transformation as well. I think there's something funny about that, or synchronistic about that potentially. But you're meant to transform in this period. Nothing's going to stay the same, and you are going to be on to bigger and better things is pretty much what they're saying. Something along those lines. So anything else for you that's important to know? Yeah, 9 of Swords coming out here. A message I get for you is you have nothing to fear. I also get this message, things aren't as bad as they seem. And then Ace of Pentacles is the next card coming out for you, Butterfly Transformation. And one of the important messages I'm getting with it is new lands. And like through this archway, there are these like mountains. There's new lands on the other side of this hedge and this thing. And I kind of get that's where you need to head. And Ace of Pentacles can denote like a new offer. I feel like this is more about money. So let me see if there's other direct messages for you with this card here. The important thing is that you're willing to open up to the new and move in that direction. And worrying isn't really solving anything. So they would like you to stop worrying, because things do turn out for the best, whatever your current circumstances are. This is the direction you're headed. Abundance, Empress, abundance, comfort, good things, sitting pretty, things working out for you, a lot more magic. But you have to be, they're just recommending you patient as you get there, and is something they're talking about, and that you walk yourself in that direction and you're open to that. Okay, so I hope that helps. But I do feel like a lot of things are going to change for the better. Just like kind of be patient through some of those changes. Hope that helps. Hope that made sense. 111 viewers. Heck yeah. Hey, Jill Button. Good to see you. Ooh. Is 2022, this is for Katarina, is 2022 going to bring anything for love or career for Katarina? Excuse me. Okay. Are these the cards? Okay, we'll start here. I had 2 cards that were just on the table when I picked up the deck, and funny enough, these are cards that would typically have to do with love or career, Page of Wands and 7 of Pentacles. As far as like, let's start like with love. Is 2022 going to bring anything for you regarding love? What I get is like there are going to be options for you in love 2022. Not everything is going to be what you dreamed of. But one message they're giving for you is like weed through the garden. What does that mean? Because they're giving me a visual of you weeding out a garden. Like you, and this is metaphorical, of course, but you don't want to date a weed. You want to get to the right fruit in your garden or vegetables or like the really good stuff, the sweet potatoes, I don't know, whatever you're into. You want to get to like the good stuff in your garden. But you're going to have to weed through some things like other people, like going on dates, with people who say one thing and then do another. So be willing to weed the garden. So is this about you personally or just about love here? And yeah, so part of the message, like they're saying, like, yeah, it's about weeding out, you know, things in yourself, but that's not as important of a message for this. And by that, I mean like clearing out, looking at yourself and examining like, okay, what are the weeds I need to tend to in myself, or like the beliefs or the things I need to shift in myself to open up to love. That's not quite the message. That's not as important as like what we're focused on, right? I'm sure that's important. But as far as your question for love, like that's not as important. It's more about weeding through like, the people that don't serve you. One of the things that's jumping out to me on this Page of Wands is like these 3 hills or mountains or pyramids or whatever they are in the background here. And like the words I'm getting are like 3 options. So I'm curious if you'll have 3 options at a certain point, or 3 opportunities for love like this year. The main message, if I were to summarize it, is hold out for what you want. Don't get wrapped up in something that's like sort of it, but like they're kind of a liar, but you kind of overlook it because you want love or anything like that. Make sure it's what you want because you're worthy of your desires. And maybe what you desire will shift through some of the experiences you have, and that's okay. Like keep up with that. That's okay if things shift. But the important thing is just to hold out for what you want. And you might have a lot of people who show interest. One message for you is make sure you're not getting too wrapped up in that, where it's like you get so wrapped up in people who are showing you interest that you miss out on what you really want, if that makes sense. Is something they're talking about as well. The other thing that's jumping out at me is like you are protected, because one of the ways that these cards are read with the page suites, or no, it's not the page, the wand suites, that I think is really interesting. I've seen someone read it this way and it's jumping out at me because they're pointing my eyes to the salamanders on this kid's shirt or whatever the heck it is that he's wearing. It looks like a Legend of Zelda, like Link costume a little bit. It's a dress. I think it's a dress. But for this Page of Wands, the salamanders kind of represent like protection from fire. Like you won't get burned, if that makes sense. So as long as you're watching out for yourself and you're not being stupid about it, you're not going to get, nothing's going to happen that hurts too bad, I don't think. Or you won't get overly burned. Like you'll see it coming, or you know what's up. Any other messages for love for you? Because I feel like I'm just blank. Any other messages for love for you that would be important here? I mean, common advice, but it's what I'm hearing. Is like, don't force it. Like one of the weird things that like the visuals are showing me is like, I'm getting this message of like, let things shift. And it's almost like the ground, like they're kind of showing me the background in the Page of Wands card. And like the land is like splitting apart. And it's like, if you get to a point where you don't feel like there's a lot of options, part of the message is like this land, it's kind of like a barren desert. It can split apart. And like what happens once it splits apart is like with the chasm, like there's this like this like sprout that comes up, or this plant that sprouts up. And I don't know if it's like a bean sprout, like, you know, Jack and the Bean Sprout or whatever. But essentially the main message is you never know when something can sprout, or when, like, if you let things shift, like the perfect soil opens up for love to develop, if that makes sense. Going to career, to try and answer that here. I do get positive shifts. I don't really get anything major for you, because I kind of get nothing major. With Seven of Pentacles, what's the main message for you with the Seven of Pentacles here? It's kind of like waiting. Like, he's kind of like waiting for these to like be ripe so he can pick them, these Pentacles. And it's like, weirdly, the message for you is like, keep waiting, which is not the common advice that I get for people. But I wouldn't necessarily make any drastic moves right away this year. If something comes up, like if like a right pentacle shows up behind him, yeah, seize it. That's take the opportunity, of course. But what's this message for this year for you? Weirdly, and I don't know why I've been getting this message so much today, but for you, again, like one message I'm getting for you is like, it's a good year to let things like sit a little bit, and let things develop on their own, and not try to like force things to happen, if that makes sense. Because there will come a time where these are ripe and you can pick them, or you have like an Eight of Pentacles and it's time to like build. But right now, don't force anything. I'm going to pull more cards because I don't know if that's entirely helpful for you so far. Soul work coming up. This does make sense, kind of like tending to your garden and weeding your garden. Like one thing I'm getting for you with this card is inner transformation is the name of the game. And that's what starts to develop what you want to see as like you let yourself shift that way. There's also like a lot of light being shed on your desire at this time is something they're talking about, where like maybe you think you want something, then something happens, and like you kind of see the reality of what that situation would look like, and you're like, maybe that's not what I want. It is something they're talking about. So there is like a lot of light being shed on different aspects of your desire and what you want in life. So allow that to shift as that happens, because the universe is aligning you for what's for you. And sometimes part of that process, at least for you, is like realizing what you want, in realizing how what you want is what the universe wants for you. And I feel like that what I just said could be interpreted in a couple different ways. So I want to clarify what I'm saying and what they mean when they say that. What they mean when they say that is like, sometimes the universe knows there's this amazing thing for you that you would love. But you're walked through the experiences that kind of like, maybe you might typically be distracted by this shiny object over here. And like, maybe it seems really cool, but it's like, it's actually empty. It wouldn't be what you want. It would be like, maybe like even like a wasted life if you want this direction. But it's like, I don't know, being a business owner who sells, opens up a boutique shop in LA would actually be really cool. But it's like, maybe if you actually did that and had that experience, you'd be like, oh, I didn't realize there was so much overhead. Oh, I don't like the people that tend to shop here. Oh, I didn't realize that this was so stressful. I just wanted to like talk about clothes or something. And this is just an example. But what actually would be really fulfilling to you is if you went to like this amazing thing the universe had for you, is this might be, what's a good example? It's I don't know if the example matters, but I like to see if they give me an example instead of me just making one up. Maybe what actually is fulfilling to you is, I don't know, maybe being a counselor and really guiding people through things. But it's like, it's not just being a counselor. It's like maybe all of a sudden you launch a magazine on it, or, you know, like a YouTube show, and that really blows up and you're really helping a ton of people through this. Whereas like if you'd gone with the boutique shop, you'd be stuck with this boutique shop for a few years and it would kind of fall through, or it like wouldn't be what you wanted and you wouldn't feel fulfilled. It just would feel a bit more empty to you. So that's kind of what they're talking about. It's like you maybe like, and for example, like with the light being shed on your desire, it's like a light starts to shine on like, maybe like, you know, someone who starts a boutique shop and you start to talk about the reality, like their situation and their experiences. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I want that so much now that I hear about this person talking about it. It's something they're kind of talking about. But I would trust that like you're being led to the right place and that your desires are shifting in the right ways, and it's you're being aligned to what's for you. This is just the phase where like that inner transformation happens to shift your desires and like who you are and what you want to have those things that are for you. If that makes sense, which is kind of unrelated to love or career, but it kind of is related because like those are two things that I think are really big in people's hearts and minds as far as like desire and what they'd like to see in life, and their avenues to a lot of the things, you know, people desire or think that those things will bring things that they desire, which they can. But for some reason that's something I want to say. One more message. They want one more tarot card for you, and then we'll kind of move on. So 5 of Pentacles coming out here, and what I'm getting is this is not going to be you. 5 of Pentacles is being like left out in the cold, no options. This could apply to love and career, because like career, it could be like maybe you lose your job, or maybe you're at a job that doesn't make enough, and it's just kind of barren. So you know these people are kind of out in the cold. There's a beggar, like they seem a little homeless. Not going to be you. You're not going to be homeless. But one thing that's kind of showing in is like, maybe you've been here in the past a little bit, or maybe this is some of your current circumstances, but one thing they're showing is like another pentacle drops in, and then you kind of have your 6 of Pentacles, which is more balance. I guess you could say it's more stability, but it's like, you're not going to be stuck in this phase where you're like out in the cold and nothing you want is working, and you don't have love, and career kind of sucks. It's something they're talking about as well. Like the main message is this won't be you, which is a really good thing. Long term, again, the Empress coming out is like another long term where you're headed. Which is again, it's like the amazing thing the universe has for you is probably going to feel very abundant to you, because it's very in alignment with like what fulfills you and what you desire, and what your soul wants and what you want, if that makes sense. But there is a lot of fruit coming for you in both those areas. But I would let it develop over this next year. I'd weed through your garden. I'd let life transform you. I feel like, but okay, one of the last messages I'm getting for you, by the end of the year, you're going to have love. So that's what I get. But I'd hold out more. Okay. Again, like if something shows up in springtime, don't just like shove it away because I said like fall, but I do see kind of like fall, autumn time being a point where that comes in and starts to solidify more. And December is a good month for love for you as well. Career, I feel like that's going to shift more over the long term, is what I get. So I hope that helps. I hope I didn't just like take way too long answering that. But that's some of the answers I'm getting for you. Kendra asks, are Kendra's manifestations coming in soon? Yes, but I feel like they're going to drop in like pieces. Like maybe you get like a piece or a framework for this manifestation, or this manifestation comes in, then you go a little bit more, and then this manifestation drops in. So they are coming, and I kind of get it's like a one by one energy where it's like this comes in and you go for a bit, and this comes in and it settles in, and then so that's more what I'm getting for you. And there is also a ramp up to your manifestations, so you're being prepared for it. So I'm not trying to put this on you. It's just the message I'm getting. If things do get a little bit difficult before it comes in, and I don't think it's going to get too difficult for you, honestly. That's just like the preparation for the manifestation dropping in, if that makes sense. But yeah, they're coming. They're coming. I don't feel like you'll have to wait too long. I'd be a little bit patient, but I hope that answers that for you. Jesse Lovato asks, should Jesse Lovato sell their poetry as NFTs? Yeah, I kind of get there's no reason not to. It's good to explore that realm and get your feet wet a little bit with NFTs, because there's other opportunities for you in both those realms by taking that leap and trying that. And it might not be exactly what you end up doing, but you'll be glad you did, is what I get. So why not? I think that's really cool. I think that's a great idea. Also, a message I'm getting really quickly is NFTs are going to transform. They're not going to end up being the way they are right now. They are going to be a bit more of like a standard thing or practice that businesses do. So I wouldn't necessarily bank on it being a get-rich-quick thing for long. As a message, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from getting into it. That's just a message I'm getting right now while we're talking about NFTs. But that field is going to transform a little bit is kind of what they're talking about. There's also a lot more improvements to that system coming, is where it becomes more standard and widespread. So it is a good time to get into it, but be prepared for it not to be the same as it is now, if that makes sense. And again, that doesn't mean don't jump on any opportunities you have with that or any ideas. That's just what I'm getting. And like, again, like for some reason, like think, anyways, next message. Like kind of think like TikTok and how TikTok has changed over, you know, the years since people started flowing to it more. How do you know you're channeling? So I don't know if this is for me personally. For me, at this point, it's become really obvious for me because the voices of my guides are very distinguished from my thoughts. The energy behind it is different, like the way it shows up is different. The other thing is they're very distinguished from my thoughts. The energy behind it is different, like the way it shows up is different. The other thing is like the voices of your guides can also like come from like different areas, I guess I would say perceivedly in your energy fields. Like for instance, like sometimes I hear my guides above me, or it's like they're speaking into my crown chakra, or like I hear the voice to my left or around me more so than like just like as your thoughts are very much just like in the brain, I guess you could, or it seems like they're more like in the head. And I can hear them more like in, but it's like differentiated is what I'd say in a number of ways, in a lot of ways. The other thing is like the energy of it. There's a few different factors I've found that can show up. And sometimes moment to moment, different factors will show up. But like one thing that's happened is like when my guides channel through me, like, especially when I'm full channel mode, like the energy, like whoop, it like comes in, like I feel it really come through my crown chakra, and then they'll start to speak through me. Is one way. Also, like another thing that happened, this was like a while ago, like one thing that would happen when I was channeling was like I'd feel like this it almost felt like a white light kind of energy. Like I'd feel my crown kind of either open, or I just felt like this white light around it, and I felt like the energy kind of opening up, and then I'd hear the voices of my guides. But that's not, I don't always like 24/7 like that's exactly what I feel. Sometimes I just like I hear the voice of my guides, and it's very practiced in for me, so I don't always have to like pay attention to all these millions of factors while I'm doing it, if that makes sense. It's just they're there and I'm aware of it, and I know. I don't know how to describe that, but hopefully those are some starting points. Anything else on? So I don't know if that was more so you could gauge if you were channeling, or if it was so how I know I'm channeling. But those are some of the ways I know I'm channeling, if that makes sense. It's just once you have more energy awareness, it becomes more easy to discern between different energies. And then like I feel the difference between like the angels when they talk, or a passed on loved one if I talk to my grandfather, or Source, or Ganesha, or Kali. Like they all have a different energetic feeling and signature. Like it's just, there's a different energy to each of them when I talk to them and when they channel through. So that's part of how I know as well, is like the energy I'm encountering in the interaction. There's like a million bajillion, there's probably infinite different ways people could tell, and I'm sure different people have different methods, but those are a few things I've noticed where I can tell if I'm channeling. I don't know. And sometimes you just know beyond all that. So hope that helps. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I need to drink water. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I needed to drink water. Okay. So what's next? So I might do one more, and then I might do a general collective reading, and we can jump into that. Because I know we're kind of getting close to the 2 hour mark. So I think I'm going to answer one more, and we'll do general collective reading, and we'll see where they want me to go from there. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Sorry, having a moment here. What's going on in chat? Okay. We did that. And reps. I feel a big change coming. Any insights? Hanged Man. So with the Hanged Man coming out here, what's the message for you? I mean, first of all, you're right. You're right. Things are going to shift collectively in a big way, but also for you specifically, personally, is something I'm getting. I feel like it's going to be very internal, and that leads to a lot of the shifts you want to see around you. I don't get you'll have to do much for this change to show up. Follow your divine guidance, follow what you feel, intuitively led to do. But the Hanged Man is the first card showing up, which is more about like what I'm getting with this is you don't have to do much for it to show up. I kind of get you've already done the work for a lot of it to show up, actually. And like some of it's just some internal shifting that will help bring it about. Six of Wands is victory, which is good. Also like public victory is something they're talking about. I really get you're going to be thrust more towards your success and also what you're meant to be doing here, which is good. And that's part of the big change coming. Horse spirit animal. Well, where do they want me to go with this? Horse spirit animal also jumps out at me on this card. And horse spirit animal is one that can really be something that just gets you to where you need to go one way, shape, or form. And I did end up, the way I encountered this was through another reader who helped me out years ago. And one of the things that showed up was horse spirit animal. And the way it worked in that reading was she was like, you get on horse spirit animal, and then it takes you, like, if you're stuck in a situation or you don't know how you're going to change it or you're going to get out, you get it on and it takes you right where you need to go in the highest and best ways. And sometimes that's like around obstacles, sometimes that's over, sometimes that's under, sometimes that's through. But one way, shape, or form, even if it's crazy and you have no idea how you like made the shift or got out of a situation or changed things, it's like somehow it gets you there. That's, and part of the message is you're already on the horse. And that's part of why you're feeling that, if that makes sense, is what I'm getting for you regarding that. And then another card, I guess there's a lot of horses on the tarot cards here, but death is the other one coming up here, which is definitely about transformation is the word I'm getting for you regarding it, which is kind of what I already said in a lot of ways. But in a lot of ways, I'd also not be afraid to let things go at this time period or coming up here, because like that's what leads to the change and to like the new coming in, of course. So allow things to shift, allow things to kind of, not literally, I mean, I don't think it's literally about death, but allow things to die off in your life, and allow the cycle of life to bring you the rebirth and the new that will replace that old cycle and that old stuff, or something along those lines. And then the Fool kind of coming out here, leap of faith, but it's something I feel like you're going to be thrust into is more what I get for that. And it is everything. I don't think it's like just one area of life. I feel like it's everything for you, weirdly enough. Like a lot of things change. So hope that makes sense. I'm reps. So I'm going to do a general, love it. I'm glad you're loving the energy. Fairy God MILF is also a really great username. Okay. So, fully for the highest good. I'm just going to do like just collective read just for everyone here. Just see some of the messages that come through. I might end up, ask for them to bring through some things about just this next week as well. I'm just going to let it be what it is and see what they say though. Not just the next week. So what's the best way to start for the collective message here for everyone here? So the first message that's showing up for me and like what I'm seeing, they're showing me this visual, my spirit guides, the angel source, spiritual team, this like rainbow, but there's like a person like riding the rainbow. And it's almost like they're just, you know how like monks would like sit and meditate and levitate. It's almost like they're just like seated like on like crisscross applesauce on this rainbow, and I get this message of ride the rainbow, and I want to double check what that means because that's just a really interesting visual to kick things off with. So ride the rainbow, what is that about here? Like for now, like one of the messages I get is let things settle is a message I'm getting. Try not to like kick up too much dust through your actions or do too much that's disruptive to your life right now if you can help it. If you're riding current circumstances, and this, I don't know, it takes you right where you need to go is what they're talking about. And you know, sometimes the message is like, yeah, you do need to take action, or hey, you need to like do this. But right now, I think like writing the magic of this time, like through manifestation, through like opening to higher experiences, letting life lead you, like is the way for a period of time here. And so I that's part of the message of ride the rainbow, which I think is really interesting. It's also a message of riding the waves of hope is what they're talking about. And it's not just like, you know, being like a way I've heard it phrased is throwing hope around, where it's just like hope for hope's sake or something like that, where it's just like, but what does it actually mean for this? I would pay attention to the things that bring you hope at this time and the things that light you up and like the little things that show like there are higher possibilities at hand, and allow that to guide your actions more than like some of the common opinions or narratives like on the news at this time, if that makes sense. Because if you're operating from a place of possibility and like what's actually possible, as opposed to like, oh, the world's going to and I don't know what's happening and what's going on with COVID, it's like all of a sudden like it's a lot more lightness, and you can start to see more of the light and which way to go, as opposed to feeling like constricted and like I can't go outside and I'm afraid of the sun and things like that. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Benchwarmers, which was like, this came out when I was like 12, I think. I don't know. I was pretty young. And that might not be totally accurate, the timing. But it was like, there was this one character who's like afraid of the sun, and so he like wouldn't leave the house. And like, I think his name was Howie. And that's like, they just flashed an image of him. That's why I said afraid of the sun. But yeah, but I think you get the gist of the message I'm starting off with there. We're like operating from possibility and like the things that bring you hope and light you up, as opposed to like looking at the darkness and feeling defeated. Because the darkness is temporary, like in the collective and in the world, and it's something that's leaving the earth, but that's why it's being brought up and is sometimes more apparent, is it's kind of being bunched together and exposed before it's transmuted to light, or it's released by the collective or the earth. And we're heading towards a lighter collective, and there's also like a higher light coming online in the collective is something I'm getting as well. That's for everyone here, but I think this is more the world over based on the message they're giving me, where it's like, it's like sometimes, what's the best way to say this? You're never limited in how high you can go and the higher realms you can connect with. But as far as like what is readily collectively accessible, there's like a higher light coming in, where it's like, more of your common folk can go higher and be more spiritual, and that's more supported. There's just like a higher space opening up for everyone right now, like everyone. So even people who are pretty advanced are going to start grounding in like a higher light is something they're talking about. And that's kind of why there's an energy of like just sit still. That's why that message came through for so many people right now as well. So what's the next thing they want to talk about here? So, okay, now the next visual they're giving me just for the collective here and as a message is, there's like, just kind of like, they're showing me like a cave and like kind of like at the ocean or at this water or this lake. And like, as you look across it, there's like this little island with like a cave in it. And the message I'm hearing first and foremost with that is exploring the inner depths of you is one thing they're talking about. Excuse me. And it's a good time to do that and to kind of like look at the treasure you've unearthed in the past. Of course, it's Mercury in retrograde, so that makes sense. And start to like, and what is this message about here? Like one message here is like people are going deeper within themselves. Like everyone here is going deeper within themselves, and it's a good time to do that. And And it is kind of exposing the gold of the past, and it is kind of helping you to release any personal darkness as well, along with that collective darkness that's being exposed and released, as something they're talking about. It's definitely a good time to like sift through that and release those things and realize why the past happened the way it did, is one thing they're talking about. And there's this message like you can't take it with you, and I want to see what that's about here, as far as this particular message. Like a lot of the things in the past, like yes, you can gather the wisdom and the experience, and the things you've built over time, like if you've worked on your intuition over time, or if you've built a business over time, but you can't take everything with you. Like you can't always take like all the people or all the situations as they were. Like things do have to grow and evolve and change. So one of the things collectively like that's coming in is like this bigger release of the past over the next few weeks here, I'm getting, especially in March, interestingly enough, and I'm curious what will trigger that. But that's just one thing that's kind of coming in, is like that. It's kind of like this excavation period, and then just like a big release is kind of coming in as well, is something they're talking about collectively. And for some reason, like one of the next things I'm kind of getting is a visual is the Buddha is kind of showing up. So what is the message with the Buddha here? So a lot of that is about shedding beliefs that like are hindering you. And there is a bit of a collective purge about that. So even if you see things in the external world, like religion shifting rapidly, or people who are religious and all of a sudden like their rigid beliefs are shifting, or they're more open to certain things that previously they were really like condemning just because of that. Like that's part of like the collective purge that's going on right now, is like this breakdown of the old belief system and just some of like the particularly like religious things that don't serve is what I'm getting. That's one thing I'm getting like as I sit with that. Another message I'm getting with the Buddha is, well, where do they want me to go with this? Cultivating calmness. I feel like it's important that you're doing that for yourselves right now, is cultivating calmness for yourselves, like within you, around you, is something I'm getting as well. I think like that's like a muscle you can build, is calmness. And sometimes like inner calmness comes about from inner healing and like, you know, healing yourself and flushing certain things. And as you come into a more healed state, it's easier to be calm more of the time, or as you have more life experience and build trust with your intuition and guides, and you realize things are okay, or that things are going to be okay, just because you always get those messages, you always kind of know what's going on. Like you start to become more calm because you're more aware of everything. But that's a good muscle to flex at this time and to cultivate, and like ask, how can I bring more calm into my life? Or how can I make that more of a constant for me, as opposed to stressing out about everything, if that makes sense. And some of you are really good about it. It's like a superpower. Some of you are still working on it, but that's something I get as well, as like a good energy to cultivate and ask for, is just like that calm. Because from a calm mind comes clarity, is one of the messages I'm getting. And the more you're taking time for that, the more like you'll know what to do in the year ahead as things progress, is something they're talking about as well. So what's the first message they want to get to here? The Weaver, the Weaver is another card that popped out here as I pulled this card, but Get Curious is a card that's coming out here for everyone here. And the message I'm getting is expanding your horizons with this card. And it kind of looks, you know, like these roots are kind of expanding out, and this bird, it kind of reminds me of a hawk, is also like, you can expand your horizons as you fly higher and look out. But I get this message like there's more for everyone here than they realize. Some of you have barely scratched the surface of like what you can do here or what you're meant for. But 2022 is a big year of like breaking that open and really examining like what's at my core, and excuse me, what's at my core, and like what's for me. And it's also like spirit expanding your horizons and showing you glimpses of what's ahead, but also like hints along your path of like what else you could move into and what else you will move into, and like how what you're doing now can expand into something else. Or even if it's like a physical action you take to, if you have a business, like expand your business and what your business is offering or something like that.
it's really just an expansion of what's possible and what could be, and not allowing yourself to get too mired in tunnel vision of like, I only want this one thing, when you could have that and 12 other things, if that makes sense. And like one of the messages I'm getting as well, to kind of explain it, is there's more to the tree than just the root system, or the trunk. There's more to the tree than just the leaves. Like the tree has to expand into all of it and all of what it is to function properly. And that's kind of what you're being asked to do, but it's a bit more, it's not so much about, maybe it is about who you are for some of you, but what I feel more is this is about like expanding who you are in the world and what you do in the world, and starting to grow leaves in what you do, as opposed to focusing on like expanding the branches, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like taking next steps and branching out further in what you do and realizing there's more for you than what life has brought to you thus far, and even asking for that. With the Weaver was a card that came out that right here. So the message with here is Archangel Michael coming through pretty strong with the card, is what I'd say. I would definitely, if you feel called to call upon him for guidance and just for clarity, and direction, even if you feel like you're lacking any of those things. So what's that message here? So another visual they're kind of giving me is like, you have the sword in your hands, and you can point the sword in any direction. But it's like, this is more of a visual, so give me a second while I go through this visual and they give me the message on what it means. But it's like, as you point this sword in any direction, it's like things start to move that direction, or you can start to direct like the way you're moving just based on where you're pointing this sword in your life. And so what does this even mean here? One thing that, and this kind of came through a little bit for some of you individually, but one thing I'm kind of getting is there is more of a director power coming in for all of us. And this is worldwide. This isn't just us here. So one thing to keep in mind is like, you're gonna have a bit more choice, interestingly enough, as things progress, is something I'm getting, which I think is really interesting, with like where your focus. And it's all, I feel like it's gonna be pretty guided. Like, you know, your soul will still be there, like steering the wheel and like aiming your focus and trying to get you to go down a certain road. But I feel like a lot of people are going to have a lot more director power as far as how things play out. Or, you know, maybe there's 12 ways for you to get to the same goal that spirit has for you and that your soul has for you. And you have a lot more power to choose like the way it plays out to get there, or the road that helps you get there. And everything will work out perfectly, but that's just like a weird energy. Not weird. That's an interesting message I'm getting for like this time period of like more creator power coming online for people, I guess you could say. Another message I'm getting, which is completely different, is there is this Ouroboros on this card. And with this sword, like one thing they're kind of showing me is like the loop being cut. So anyone who feels cut in a loop, like you're gonna be cut out of that, if that makes sense. And there is like a message where like loops are kind of rescinding. So if you just feel like you're living in a loop, or like same cycle, same thing, different day, or anything like that, it's like there are a lot of events coming in conspiring to pull you out of any stuck loops or patterns, because it's almost like there's no time for that. And I'm getting this weird message as well, which is really interesting. And what they're saying is like the age of the loop is over. So I think whereas before it would be easy to get caught in loops in the past, which is, they're also showing this is more like a 3D, 5D ascension thing, something they're talking about. But it'd be easy to get caught in loops, or get stuck in patterns, or get stuck in this job, and then you have kids and you're kind of like stuck in the motions. I'm not saying that you're actually stuck if you're in those things, but it's a lot more to work through. But the way things are shifting is like, there's going to be a lot more potency in getting out of loops. Like I don't really feel like stuckness is going to be as prevalent, because it's something we're shifting out of as a collective, is what I'm getting as well as a message, which I think is really interesting. And that's potentially part of where that director and creator power comes in as well. It kind of ties in together, those messages. So what else do they want to get to? The word they're giving me next is, as a message for everyone, is power. So what is power about here? Another message I get is people are going to be realizing their power more, which is good. And just like their deep-seated power to create, like in life and the universe, but also in their personal lives. I think sometimes, like, and this might be a common thing that people talk about, we can be either like taught to give our power away, or people can forget what their power is. But as they remember and kind of take back control of the driver's seat in their life and stop giving the reins to other people or corporations or even the government, it's like they start to create something different and realize, like, all along they could have changed things by their own hands and intention if they would have seen it, if that makes sense. So there's like a bit of a collective power boost for the highest good, of course, coming in for the individual. For individuals is what I'm getting for each of you. Next card here, transmute, coming out here with the B. This might be a theme for everyone here for 2022, is like transmuting, which kind of makes sense. Another visual they're showing me is like breaking chains, which also makes sense with like cutting loops as well. One thing I'm getting is like old hurts just aren't going to sting as much, is something that's coming in as well. Like as you start to transmute that, there is a bit more of a collective energy of transmutation available and readily handy. Whereas before, maybe you would have to like drum some of that up on your own. I kind of feel like transmutation is actually just like making its way through the collective as an energy, and they're almost showing it because, you know, there's a bee, like as a swarm of bees with this transmutation energy, like just flowing through like a representation of what the collective is. So you're gonna find it's very easy to transmute the past and like shift things and like heal the hurts is what I'm getting. And it's kind of like one of those messages, like there ain't no time for that. And like that seems to be a bit of a theme with some of these messages, is like the loops and like the old hurts. It's like a lot of these things are like, there ain't no time for that. And it's just easier to like break out of those things because there's life to be lived. So any other important messages for everyone here, for the collective here? Okay, so Six of Wands showing up, as well as the Wheel of Fortune is another one they want me to present to you guys here. So what I get for like heading in the right directions. If you start to get new ideas, by the way, I'd really sit with that and let that start to draw in a new direction, because like there are a lot of new ideas coming in for people that are actually really important. And depending on what feels right to you intuitively, you don't have to jump on it right away, but let that start to draw you forward a little bit. Because it is heading to this, like that kind of goes along with that expanding horizons message as well. Like if you get new ideas, don't discount them right now. I'd really sit with it and let them expand and percolate and grow, because it's kind of leading you in a good new direction if you're one of those people that's getting that. Wheel of Fortune, what I'm getting is the turnaround is starting. What does that mean? Well, I kept getting this message like collectively, like there was a positive turnaround coming in, and this was more like early January where I was kind of starting to get these messages for everybody, but it was a very collective thing. So can I get more of an explanation for that? Now is the time when that starts. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like in the next few days or even today, like or maybe you've already noticed it happening, like things starting to turn around for the better in your life. And maybe it starts really small. But like the message they're kind of showing me is like even like a crack in a foundation, like, you know, of like, and this is supposed to be meant in a good way. Like a crack in a foundation can be what crumbles an old pattern. Or like if you have a dam and there's a crack in the dam, that can be enough for the water to get enough of a foothold to burst the dam, if that makes sense. So it's like even and it's not going to be small. Overall, I feel like it's going to be a major turnaround collectively for a lot of people, where things like turn around or come together or piece together, or it's kind of what I'm getting. And it's not a negative turnaround. But the things that have not been going well are going to turn around. And so I don't know. I'm just getting like things are going to start turning around now. I feel like that's at least through February, but that could be more. They're giving me the words long term. Like this is something that's not just like a day and things are better and then it's back to business. It's more like it's a big positive shift, which is good. So next card for you guys, Four of Wands. what I'm getting is the word endings. And this is more about this week. I feel like there is an energy of like just specific endings this week, or like wrapping up loose ends, or like finalizing things. Excuse me. And if anyone's watching this on a replay on YouTube, if I post this, if I can, it's for when you see it. It's timeless. But except for like the time-based messages that I brought through that were like 2022. But this message is more timeless, where it's like there's a lot of endings and things like wrapping up around this time, or like in this next week, or this next 2 weeks, this nice little phase. So I'd be prepared for like that to start happening, and like things to start shifting. And it's almost like the visual I get is really interesting. It's like the light is already shining through, but it's like the collective is starting to like shake things off in a greater way. So like whether it's like relationships ending, or things ending, or friendships shifting, or even like with, and I don't mean to like belittle this or play this down, because it could be something people are very much mourning and grieving. But even like one thing that's shown up for me is like celebrity deaths. And it's like, it's very interesting seeing like who's passing on at this time, and like what they symbolized, or like how, like what eras are ending as like we go through that happening, if that makes sense. And like just like how things are shifting like that. And it's not necessarily like, I don't want to say it's good or bad that the people are dying, but I'd say like it does speak to like just some of the endings that they're talking about, and how the collective is shifting as a result of what's being shaken off of the world at this time, or each of us individually, even as above, so below. So any other message with the Four of Wands here? The other message is like a finish line. What I'm getting collectively is giving this message like it's time to run marathons. What does that mean? What does it mean like it's time to run marathons here? It's kind of this message of for you guys, like just do your best and say it intuitively with what feels right, but stop necessarily going for like short-term gains. There are really big prizes on the horizon for each and every one of us, or each and every one of you. It's like, don't feel like you need to get there tomorrow. Like, see the end goal and move towards it, but treat it as a journey and a marathon. And you're going to have a much better time if you do that, as opposed to trying to sprint 26 miles, you know. Because it's almost like they're showing me the tortoise and the hare thing, almost thing. Like, if you sprint and burn out, and then you have to like, you know, heal up and recollect yourself, and then question life, and then get your stuff together, and then sprint 200 more yards, and then you collapse, and then you have to cry about it, and then you get up. But if you're just kind of taking it at the right pace and moving in that direction, one, you never know how the universe is going to conspire to lift the tortoise up and just carry it way faster than it was going on its own. Weird message. But two, you'll just enjoy the journey a bit more, and there's more to life than just like getting there, if that makes sense. It's just a reminder that's kind of coming in. So the finish lines will come, if that makes sense, but treat it like a marathon, and you're going to enjoy it a lot more than like, oh, I'm not there yet. 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 And then you're there and you're like, oh, I missed all that beautiful scenery and all those beautiful moments. You know, just a reminder of that kind of thing. And I don't think that's the main message, though. I'm going to see like where they want me to go to kind of expand upon it a bit more and see what they were actually trying to say. If I were to simplify the message more, I'd also say take things slow right now, is part of the message I'm getting. So anything else that's important to bring through for everybody? So I want to see what would be the most important message, or the best ways to wrap this up. The Chariot also wants to come out, and Eight of Wands, something I want to bring through here. And again, like we did talk about the shift in like March that I keep feeling, and I think I had conversations with other people who were really feeling it too. But things do really start to move forward more in March. Like they really lurch ahead. February for some of you. But I think like right now is the time to get the ideas and ground them in and think about where you want to go. And then like things just like move that direction. It's like the sword pointing visual I was getting. They just start to lurch that direction. Also, like a good thing I'm getting as well, and it kind of makes sense with Mercury in retrograde, but because Eight of Wands can be about communication. A good time to communicate would be February, is one thing I'm getting for you guys, if that makes sense. So like February is a good month for communication, is kind of what's coming up. And it's a good time to right any wrongs in any conversations you had that didn't go well in January, is something I'm talking about. So if you want to try and like tie things up with anybody in your life, February is a good month for that. Chariot is a card of victory as well, is something they're kind of going back to. One thing they're kind of showing me is like there's like this pole with this shield and these wings, and there's like a top or whatever it is on it. What I'm getting is Archangel Raphael. This does remind me of like the post with like, usually there's like a pole with a serpent and the wings, and it's Archangel Raphael's symbol. But that's like what's jumping out at me, and what they're saying is Archangel Raphael on this card. And I'm getting this message of, what's the best way to say it? It's like a healing victory, or victory that heals. And there's a couple ways. This might be a little bit different for some of you. For some of you, it's like healing leads to victory. For most of you, I feel like you're heading towards a victory that brings healing. Like once you have this victory, you're like, you feel more healed or vindicated, or the hurts of the past are kind of rescinded, because it's like you finally get this thing that you've been wanting, or something like that. But I would keep heading towards, when it feels right, and it's time to take action, keep heading towards that, like that finish line, that victory. Because once you kind of start to get to the other side of some of the experiences you had the past few years, or even if you're going through something rough right now, like there's a lot of healedness and lightness on the other side, which is where the collective is going. If you can just kind of get through some of the bumps that might show up in the meantime, is something they're talking about. But I get this message like victory leads to healing. I would definitely move that direction for anyone here. So they want one more card. Which deck? And we have the Wildling popping out here, which is interesting. I want to see what this one is here. And the message I'm getting is it's okay to fight your battles. You do have these swords that are crossed on this card. And the visual they're showing me is two people with like each of these swords like jumping at each other. And like this, it's almost like a Star Wars moment where the lightsabers are against each other and they're having this intense, intimate moment. I don't know if intimate's the right word, but that being said, it's one thing I get is it's worth fighting for what you want. It's worth picking up the sword and fighting through what you have to fight through to heal, when it's time to change your circumstances, to embody your ideals, is a weird phrase that comes to me as well. It's worth being you and fighting for that, and fighting for the life you want. So don't be afraid to pick up the sword when it's the right time and cut a path for yourself. And again, I feel like this is more March and April, but it's also a message of not being afraid to stand up for yourself, is another way that some of you might need to hear that message. As long as you're willing to fight for, I suppose, maybe not your beliefs, but what's really true for you, and fight to change what you need to change, things do get a lot better, and progress pretty quickly over the next year if you're willing to stand your ground, even if it's with yourself and it's an inner battle you're having over something you're working through, like whether it's dealing with alcoholism or fighting that fight, you could say. And usually fighting is not the direction I go to. That's not normally what I lean towards as like a way I'd recommend going about things, but it for some reason seems to be an energy where it's actually worth fighting through things, as opposed to laying low, if there's something you need to change or something comes up like that. The other thing is like there's wolves' heads on the pommels of these swords, and one of the messages I get is pay attention to your instincts at this time, is something they're talking about. Like accurate intuition is becoming a more common thing. It's definitely something where the space has been cultivated collectively, where people can access that more and more quickly, which is good. So definitely pay attention to your instincts, and like whether you're called to withdraw or to draw your sword metaphorically, or anything like that. But that's it. One of the things that's really jumping out to me as well is like the way this pattern is, it almost looks like fireworks, or a firework booming is something they're talking about. And the words I actually get are like revolution, and I'm getting the words Viva la Revolution. So give me a second. I don't necessarily think this is a physical revolution, but let me see what the message is here. Like coming up here in the near future, it's going to be time to revolutionize the ways we go about things, whether it's love and romance, whether it's business, whether it's the things we've built in our lives. And like, that's going to be something we're called to do here. And you guys are going to be called to do here in the near future, coming up here next few months, maybe even weeks. The timing might be a little bit different for each of you. But revolution is a theme, and revolutionizing things so they're better. And it's not necessarily like, you know, a revolution where like there's this whole revolution and then take out all the leaders or the whatever, and then take it over and then just create the same thing again. It's not that. It's more like completely transmuting and revolutionizing the energies that we're experiencing and what we're creating in the world, which kind of ties in with a lot of the other messages I feel like I brought through with this collective reading. That's it so far. That's it. That's what I'm getting right now. I'm not sure. Hopefully that resonated and made sense, or at least most of that did. Because some of those messages were a little interesting, but soul deep revolution. Ooh, I like that. Inner spiritual revolution. Very nice. Cool. But I hope that made sense and helped. It made sense as like a lot of the messages. Yeah, you're welcome. What else would be for the highest good to do here? For some reason, I feel really called to do this. So I have this this book here, and these aren't my symbols. I didn't channel these, but it's Zebu. It's the power of angelic symbology. For some reason, I want to like open the. One thing I'll do, or I used to do, or when I feel called to do it, I'll do it. I'll just like open the book, and it's all these channeled symbols that this woman channeled through, you know, from the angels, and they all have like an effect and a meaning. So I kind of want to do that for everyone here if you want that. And, you know, of course, if you can open it. Okay, but the symbol I opened to is prosperity, interestingly enough. And I think this symbol came through for a personal reading I did like yesterday or recently, which I think is really interesting. So prosperity, then if the name that she got for it is Anna, A-N-A. But if you feel called to like either just draw this one out or something, for some reason that's an important symbol right now is the prosperity symbol. And you know, you can just ask, one of the things she recommends in this book is just ask the angels to infuse it with the highest and best angelic light and energies, that it works for the highest good. Of course, I think it automatically works for the highest good, and I know this is reversed. I'm sorry. I don't know how to, there used to be an options button where oh, there it is. There, unmirrored. There you go. So that's how it actually looks. Is the prosperity symbol. So feel free to sit with it or draw it out or whatever. But I just felt called to open this up for everyone here, and I'll see if I get a message about it as well regarding prosperity. And again, this symbology is called Zebu, Z-I-B-U. But any of the messages with prosperity for you guys here? Part of it is reiterating an earlier message from this live. Like, there is a lot more opportunity coming in for each one of you here. Everybody here is what they're talking about. Okay, so hopefully you all got that, but if you wanted to try it. But beyond that, it's like it's time to embody the possibility of prosperity and realize you can have the things you want, and realize you can prosper, and let go of the beliefs that might have held you back from the past regarding that. Because like one of the messages, like there's plenty to go around, you know, the universe is infinitely abundant. There's plenty to go around, and there's plenty of room for everyone to prosper in the right ways for them and to the levels that they want, and that would be right for each. So paying attention to cultivating prosperity on the road ahead might be a good ambition to add to what you're going for. And you know, prosperity for me, I do feel like it ties in with money. I really don't feel like there's anything wrong with money. I feel like the more abundance you cultivate, the better. Honestly, because it's opening up a possibility and more abundance for everyone. You could say, as above, so below. But I would sit with what is prosperity to you as well, and just sit with that energy of prosperity and start to make it, maybe even for those of you this resonates with, like make a daily practice to sit in the energies of prosperity and draw it in that way, as opposed to worrying about money. Because I think even just 10 minutes a day of sitting with a specific energy instead of worrying about it could shift lifetimes, is the message I get. Or could shift a lot of things for people. So I don't know, I'd try it and see what happens. See what starts to show up for you. Weird message, but that's it. Thank you, Vinishidan. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for this. It's awesome. Aligns with what I'm being shown. Perfect. Thanks for the good to have it verified. That's good. Yeah, hydrate for sure. Excuse me. You're welcome, guys. But that's a lot of the collective message I'm getting. Star King intuition. Okay, let's talk about this. How do you sit with the energy? Beautiful question. I'm glad you asked. So there's a lot of different ways you could do it. And sometimes one way you could do it would be like sitting with that symbol or a symbol that represents prosperity. Cause like one of the things like with like that is bringing through like an energy of prosperity. I feel like that symbol also is like healing things around prosperity and just helping do what needs to be done to bring it in. But as far as just sitting with the energy of prosperity, let's go through, let's see what they want me to do. Let's just go through a quick energy work exercise to do that. So let me give you a brief backdrop, and some of you might have heard this before, or you already know this, but Source, the way I'm going to run you guys through this is Source is infinite, Source is all of this, and you can get an infinite amount of any energy from Source. It's the source of everything. So you can ask for any energy from Source, anywhere, anytime, any place, because, you can operate outside of time. Energy work can operate outside of time and outside of space. So that's part of how distance energy work works. But all that being said, is if you want to sit with an energy of prosperity and just sit in that energy, and this, you can literally just ask for the frequency and energy of prosperity from Source to like surround you and engulf you. So I'll give you a couple different methods. So here's an example. Excuse me. Sometimes I cough as I do energy work too. So, but I'll do it for myself, and you can feel the energy shift and feel what happens. But Source, true angels of the true highest light, please surround me with the energy of prosperity, and engulf me with it, so I can sit with that energy. And may this work fully for the highest good. May this draw more prosperity to me. Thank you so much. I ask that this occurs now. So that energy is pretty much coming straight from Source, and the angels I just ask the angels to help too. You can just say, fully for the highest good, I ask that the energy of prosperity flows to me from Source now and surrounds me. Thanks so much. I just ask to sit with it and just pay attention to like how you feel energetically. So you can kind of feel a little bit like the energy might have shifted. There's a different energy around me. The other thing you can do to generate an energy of prosperity is like, that's where visualization can come in as well, is visualize that prosperity. Like, how does it feel to be prosperous? Like, visualize your bank account like flowing with money, and how does that feel? And like you have that energy of prosperity, if that makes sense, and that you can kind of generate it that way. Like, how does it feel to be prosperous? How does it feel to sit in that energy as you put yourself in that situation and intend that shows up for you, if that makes sense? That's another way to generate that energy and feel it and kind of feel into that and sit with that energy of prosperity. Another thing you can do is, ask for the energy. And then of course, like a good idea is just to like manifest prosperity, just ask for it. And of course there's a million other tips and tricks where it's like, for instance, if you receive money, like you could just, another way you could do it, because it's more about the intention, just to sit with the energy, honestly, you could pull out like $100 bill or a $1 bill, I don't care, and you could literally just like sit with the money. And if that's a representation of prosperity for you, if you have a different representation, like if something else feels prosperous and rich to you, sit with that instead. But you could sit with money and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna sit with this money energy. I'm gonna be really grateful for this money. or if you find $1 on the ground, like be really grateful for it. Thanks so much, universe, for this prosperity. I appreciate it. And then you're generating more energy of prosperity that way too. But like just sitting with it, and just with the intention that you're sitting with the energy of prosperity, and like you can visualize this money multiplying. Well, maybe you want more than a $1 bill, but you could visualize the money like multiplying and expanding, and like that money energy being around you, and then just sitting with that prosperity, and then the intention is you're drawing that to you as you sit with it, if that makes sense. And then you start to feel more prosperous, if that makes sense, and just see what starts to show up in your reality as you do that. If that makes any sense. So those are a few different ways you could sit with the energy of prosperity. The name of this book is Zebu, The Power of Angelic Symbology. That's by Debbie Zylstra Almstead. I don't know how to pronounce that, but is the name of this symbology in this book. And she does have like a deck of cards, I think, too, with like a lot of the symbols, which is cool, like an oracle card deck. Hope that helps. Did you get that, by the way? Yeah, you're welcome. Cool. So I hope that helps and makes sense for some of you guys. Yeah, absolutely. Write your intention on a clear bottle filled with water. Set it out during a full moon. That works too. You could even just like write prosperity on you could write prosperity on a bottle of water and drink it. I don't know. There's a million ways to do it. Brandon, how do I book a Reiki session with you? So if we want to do that, go ahead and go to my website, and you can just send me an email through that contact form, and we can definitely schedule it that way. I'm answering. So if you go to my website through the link in my bio, it's the first link, of course, in the link tree, and go to the contact form on the top right, just send me an email and we can schedule that and get that scheduled for you if you'd like to do that. We can get that going for you. Because I don't have an explicit booking for Reiki sessions yet. Yeah, you're welcome. And then maybe I'll start opening that up again and have bookings for energy work sessions. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Kishay. Cool. Let's see here. Oh, no worries, Ashley. No worries. No sweat. Yes, B, how are you doing today? I'm doing all right. I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I've been doing a lot better. I was sick earlier in the month. I had COVID, which was not fun, but I'm doing a lot better now. Yeah, like the past week has been really good. I've really loved a lot of the past week. Things have been pretty good. I think I'm kind of like maybe a lot of people, just sitting with like just some of what I'd like to shift or change, or some of what like I'd like to expand into or do next, I suppose. But I'm doing all right now. Can us, the collective, do anything for you? I want to see what would be for the highest good, for if there is anything here. So I suppose, what do you guys want me to do? What would be I mean, not particularly right now. I guess like if anyone feels called to, fully for the highest good, send a blessing, or feels called to say anything like that and send that my way for the highest good, like that'd be cool. I'd really appreciate that. Or just ask the angels to help me out in a good way or something like that. I don't really, is there anything like I need from you? I don't really feel like there's anything like I need from you guys, if that makes sense. But I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate that, and I'll sit with that and see if anything else comes up, because that's really cool to ask. Thank you. Ooh, I love the dragon emojis. I need a guitar sesh ASAP. B, miss you playing your guitar playing. Yeah, I do have a guitar live coming on Friday, this upcoming Friday, which we could do. And I might do, thank you, MC, I appreciate it. So maybe I could do that kind of as we wrap up the live, if my guides agree to it. I don't know if they want me to, but I do have that coming up, so that will happen here. Um, I think it's at 6 p.m. my time, so I think that's 7 p.m. your time if that works for you. But I'll probably end up posting. I might end up posting the recording just because it is gonna be for anyone else who's interested. Because I've played guitar for like 10 plus years, like a lot of years by now. It hasn't been my main focus as much recently, but what I do is I blend Reiki and energy work with the music, so it's like a healing session through the guitar. It's kind of like this music healing, but like Reiki infused guitar concert, I guess you could say, that I'll just kind of be jamming through for I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour on Friday. So what coast are you on, Brandon? I'm actually near Chicago, so none coasts. But I guess I'm close to Lake Michigan, sort of. But I'm EST and it's 1:43. Yeah, it's like 12:44 my time right now. So I'm Central Time here. Aw, awesome. That means a lot, Destiny. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun, and that's a good reminder because I need to practice for that and be prepared. So, that'll be cool. My time zone. Okay, yeah, my time zone is Central Time. Sorry about that. I probably should have connected those dots. But yeah, I'm Central Time, so 6 p.m. Central Time. So that's gonna be, if you're on the East Coast or in Eastern Time, that's 7 p.m. If you're in Mountain Time, that's 5 p.m. If you're on the West Coast and Pacific Time, that's gonna be 4 p.m. And which is it. Maybe I should start doing it a little bit later because I didn't realize how early that was in Pacific Time. I didn't really think about that. 'Cause 4 p.m. is pretty early, but okay. No, it's cool. Perfect. We're all on the same. We're all working on that. No worries. Hey, Scarlett. Hey, Laura. How's it going? Cool. So I don't know. We're kind of at the end. I don't know. What do you guys want to do next here? Because it's kind of getting to like the end point. I'll leave it up to you guys. We can play guitar. We can see if there's any other messages that want to come through. We can see. Yeah. Mid-coast. Yeah. Chat or guitar. We can do that. I can see if someone has a gift. Yeah. Typically. Let's play guitar. So let's see what my guys want to do. Gotcha. Yeah, we could do guitar for a second. Any new book coming? I've had a book in the works. I don't feel like it's ready yet. So I don't want to give a time frame on that because but probably this year is what I'd say. But I have a book on manifestation coming in that I channeled, that we'll see when I feel guided to launch that. Yeah, new book coming. So we'll see what I end up guiding when that comes together and launches. But it hasn't happened yet. Okay. Let's do guitar, and then we can see what we do from there. Sorry, I disappeared. Keep us updated on the launch. I absolutely will. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it has a really good energy to it, like with the channel transmission. Like I had one person read it and just kind of read through it just and kind of get a feel for it. And one thing they really commented on was like the energy of it was really potent, which I'm pretty excited about. So I think it'll be good. Thank you thank you, Kelly Redmond, for the offer. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna sit with it a bit more and piece it to put it more together, and then I'll sit with like what to do next from there. Thank you though. You should make your own decks. I'd buy them. Yeah, I want to. That's on the agenda. Agenda's not the right word. That's on the to-do list. That's something I've wanted to do for years, or like a year or two now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens and what order all these projects happen. But I've been wanting to do that for a while. I thought that would be good. Hey, Michelle, how's it going? Okay, so let's see what's the best way to do this. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry for, well, I don't know if I'm sorry, but yeah, Q and channel A portion, maybe I can do a little bit of that more, but that's kind of, we're kind of venturing out of that phase of this live. So if you've been waiting, I'm sorry if I didn't get to you. I hope you got something good out of the collective messages or some of the other messages that came through. But we're probably going to switch gears here, and if I feel guided to answer anything, I'll do that. But we're probably just going to hang out and jam a little bit and do some Reiki-infused guitar, fully for the highest good, and then we'll probably, maybe we'll wrap it up. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of what I feel would be good right now. Yeah, it'll get there, Michelle. You'll get there for the more positive position for sure. But I'm sorry to hear it's been rough for a little bit. Your own decks would be amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I will give the people what they want, or what would be for the highest good. I don't know. I give the people what's for the highest good for me to give them. Is more what I go for. But yeah, I'll definitely start putting that together because I really, really want to do that, and I've been excited about that possibility for a while. I'm so happy you're staying on longer because I just woke up and always missed so much. Yeah, cool. No, I think it'll be good. Yeah, I'm gonna take a quick water thing. Spiritual awakening is what renewed hope and saved my life. Nice. Is that a book or like the spiritual awakening you went through? Makes sense either way. No, it's awesome. Okay, so let me see the best way to go about this. So pretty much what I do is I gotta draw. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing some energy work symbols on the guitar and just setting some intentions for the highest good. So if anyone wants to stick around and just listen, but you don't want the energy work, that's okay. But anyone who wants the energy work, just set the intention that you receive what's for the highest good for you to receive, or that yes, you'd like the energy work with the music as well. And that will float to you as I play and as we go forward here. So let me set some intentions really quickly. So pretty much just the intention is that, Reiki and any other healing energies that would be for the highest good to flow from source through the music to you, fully for the highest good. Those of you who want it and would like to receive it, all of it's fully for the highest good. It leads to any shifts and transformations that would be for the highest good, and any healing that would be for the highest good. And otherwise brightens your day and brightens your trajectory and brings more light to your path for the highest good, should it be for the highest good. And feel free to set any intentions, that you want Reiki to work for yourself, if you have anything you'd like to sit with. I'm not sure if this is in tune. Cool. So I'm just jumping right in, and I don't know what kind of a view you guys want, but I'm just going to ask Source to work through this music in the highest and best ways. Reiki is already infused with the music, work in the highest and best ways. May only was pure of the true highest light, and for the highest greatest good to come about from this for everyone involved, and may it lead to the highest and best outcomes possible, all for the highest good. So, where should I start? There's one song I was been working on that I think would be really cool, so I think I'll start with that one. Totally messed it up. Yeah. So that's one thing. So what would be best to do next here? I think I'm just gonna keep going with what I feel called to do. It might be a bit more atmospheric. We'll see what they want to do here, but let's see. Maybe I'll do. Let's see how this. I'm gonna check the tuning really quickly here. I'm gonna ask for a do-over on that one. Cool. That's another one I've been working on. So I'm just going to see what they want me to play through. I'm not going to go through anything I've necessarily written. I want to see how they want me to kind of just play and see what comes through as I do it. Of course, may this be fully for the highest good in all ways. But let's see where they want me to start here. Hope you have a beautiful day too, Scarlett. Oh, you're welcome, Michelle. Cool. I hope this has been good so far. I'm gonna see if there's anything they want me to play next. Yeah. Found it. Okay. So I think we'll play a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more and then we'll wrap it up. But let's see where they want me to start here. This fret is obviously not working well. Sorry, I have to work around this fret not working. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. For a bit. Then of course we'll do more on Friday. But yeah, as far as any energy work that was for that, any Reiki, energy work that occurred regarding that music, for anyone of you here, may that Reiki and energy work from Source continue to work for however long would be for the highest good, until any and all shifts and changes that would be for the highest good to be completed are completed. May all the highest and best come about from all of that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Source and to Reiki and to any and all other energies that were for the highest good that participated in that work. So, so hope that was good. It's a good way to start the Sunday. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. Hope that was good. Yeah, I feel like that was a good way to end it out. Oh, you're welcome. Cool. Well, I'll be doing it again for longer on Friday, and I'll be more prepared with stuff, so I'll be able to keep going. You're welcome, guys. So I'm just going to ask angels to close out that energy work or wrap that up in the highest most ways. Cool. Yeah, for sure. Ashley Divine. So you're asking about strengthening your connection to your spirit guides and Source and angels. So one recommendation for you, and then I'll probably close out after I answer this, because I'm just feeling too relaxed right now. What time Friday? So it's 6 p.m. Central Time, North American Central Time, which would be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then that'd be 5 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. East or Pacific. Sorry. If you go to my TikTok page, there should be an event calendar saying that it's coming up. My cat loved that. That makes sense. Cats love energy work. But for Ashley, for you, I mean, there's going to be a few different things that come through, but one of the things that does tend to come through commonly is practice. But for you, how would be the best way to get started? For you, one thing I get for you is card pulling is magic. Like if working with cards and kind of sitting with what you get or any messages you get would be a great way to start to open that intuitive field. And one thing that I want to say as well that I've heard another channeler say that I really like, there's a lot of things I'm going to throw at you in a second here. Lee Harris is his name, and he's a channeler. He does a lot of good work. I like a lot of his stuff, his work. But one thing he said that I really liked, because it's not how I learned to channel, by the way. I already knew how to channel. I just follow his work. Is like when you're practicing channeling, whether you have a notebook, and one of the common pieces of advice is just like have a daily practice where you open a notebook and ask your guides to channel through, set an intention to channel your spirit guides of highest wisdom, and then have the journal open and just see what comes through. Like, do you hear words that aren't really your own? What starts to happen? And even if you're just starting out or you're having trouble hearing them right away, the important thing is practicing getting into that frequency of receiving messages is one thing he said that I really liked. So like just practicing getting into that energy is like it opens the doorway. And once you have your first experience with it, like a channeled message, it's much easier to keep going with it because you're like, oh, I heard something, or oh, now I know what that's like. And you can just keep going with it, if that makes sense. So that's one way to start practicing it and just building that. Pulling cards, I feel like would be really good for you, just with the consistency as well, just because that's just a message I got. It does help to access your own intuition. It can really open that intuitive field. You don't need cards. I don't think anyone needs cards, but they can be helpful, or if you're guided to do it, I would definitely utilize them if you're guided to. Because sometimes people, another practitioner I know said that I thought was interesting was like, sometimes your physical tools can help you access your etheric tools. And she's all about etheric tools. Anna Anthony is her name. She's really cool. She's around Chicago area. But one thing that kind of speaks to is like, because we all have the way she operates, and she gets messages, like she'll see like, oh, like I see, sorry, I'm getting a little bit lost in explaining this, but with etheric tools, it's like you have these accessible to you at all times. And it could be something where like maybe you have an easier time, like you're a really good speaker, and maybe you have, the way it would present is like an energetic tool, like a microphone with like diamonds on it or something. And so like whenever you go to public speak, like this energetic tool activates and you're like really good at like getting your point across and speaking with clarity, would be an example. But like your card decks, one way she explained it that I liked is like this can help you access your energetic tools. So a physical tool would be a card deck that helps you access your etheric tools that would help you do, an intuitive work or a reading or something. But you don't need this. This is a tool, if that makes sense, is something I like to live by too, just because I've had too many experiences like that to say anything else. But all that being said, for you, besides that, so practice, and I'll just throw this out there. There is an audio guide by Lee Harris called How to Channel and Why. It's like $30. No affiliation, by the way. It's on his website, leeharrisenergy.com. It's just like a 2-hour thing that he kind of goes through with some of his experiences and like ways to practice it. And he does a channel on it, which is cool too. But that's another resource if you feel called to it, if it feels right to you. Is there anything else for you that would help you access your gifts or anything? But it's really about practice and showing up, or like, if for anyone else listening, if it helps them, like one thing that's helped, Crystal is too, yeah. Wow, validation from my guides via watching it right now. Thank you. Perfect. Heck yeah. Thank you, Lily and me. I appreciate that. Oh man, what was the message? Even things like, for anyone else listening, if it applies, like even things like doing a Reiki session or energy work session, like that is a common place where a practitioner will start to intuitively like see what's going on with the energy or the healing, or start to get messages. So that's another way to open up intuition and channeling. And like your latent gifts is Reiki itself, like getting a Reiki session or a Reiki attunement, if you start learning Reiki and energy work, really opens those things up and opens up your inherent gifts and abilities and can boost and expand them, I suppose, and uncover them. But it's also like, as you practice doing sessions in that work, it opens you up further, and you're practicing working with your intuition and divine guidance to facilitate healing for someone, is the I guess you could say. So it's another good way to practice, is getting into some type of energy work and working with energy and like being shown intuitively what's going on with it, or you can feel it clear with your energy sensitivity, and it just opens things up. So that's another like tip I tend to get to recommend to people when this topic comes up. Yeah, if you have a roommate that's really religious, that shouldn't stop it, honestly. It might be a personal barrier if you felt self-conscious to it, but I wouldn't let that stop you either. And maybe you can just, unless you feel called to share about it, you can not tell her or them or him everything you say. Cool. So I hope that helps, Ashley, and anyone else who's watching. But it's cool. I think it's time to end the live and wrap it up based on what I'm getting. My guys are like, it's past time, so it's past time. But I hope the music was good. I hope for anyone who's still around, who was there, I hope the messages were good earlier. And I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Next week, may we get a message about the new moon coming up, please? Now or next week? I can do it. I can do it either way. It's definitely a transformative one. what I'm getting first and foremost is a transformative one. It is kind of spark some inner healing. But it's actually something that's going to bring out the best in us is something I'm getting as well with that new moon, which is really interesting. I also feel like with the new moon, like it's going to start to cause you to gravitate towards what's for you quite naturally. And there is some rebirth energy as well. It could be major for some people, but I feel like it's going to be a bit more minor rebirth energy. Like little deaths and rebirths, I guess you could say. But overall, I feel like it's a really good moon. Like one thing I keep getting with the new moon that you mentioned is like spark. There's a lot of like sparks and I guess activations is what I'm getting, where it's meant to spark things in you that lead to a brighter future. That's some of what I'm getting with it. It's not meant to be heavy is what I get. I don't think new moons tend to be that heavy anyways, at least for me, but that's what I'm getting on the situation, if that makes sense. So hopefully that's some information. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a TikTok. I'll channel on it and post that, or I'll talk about it in the live next week too. And if there's more information that wants to come through. All right, guys, but I appreciate you. It was a joy to do this. You guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Have a great week. I'll see you. Well, if you're here for the guitar, I'll see you on Friday, and I'll see you next Sunday too for more of this. But oh yeah, the moon water. Heck yeah, good idea for sure. All right, love you guys too. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Okay, I'm gonna sign off before I just keep talking.